Now I can hear you.
Let's try that again. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Big Mike and Little Ant, and we are back. Can I just say this is going to be a monumental episode, Mike? So as you know, the two biggest things right now is Falcon and Winter Soldier and the Snyder Cut, right? So
Correct.
We're going to do, this is going to be crazy. It's going to be huge because we are going to do a spoiler discussion for both. How crazy, right?
Right.
But now that we started going live, we started adding guests. Guys, we got 2 guests this week, and it's going to be epic. So, Mike, how are you doing, man? First, let me start off.
I'm good, man. Let me just kind of give a little background or whatever. So, as you guys know, we do the Big Mike and Little Ant show every single week and stuff, and we love bringing it to you guys. We, as we normally have different topics and our standard show, we decided since it's just a Big Mike and Little Ant show, we can do anything and whatnot.
That's right.
So
no handcuffs, brother.
Correct. So this week we decided to talk about movies, especially because there were 2 big events happening this weekend. But we might talk about gaming one week only. It might be wrestling one week only. It might be TV shows, relationships. So the Big Mike and Little Ant show is opening up. And as you already know, you all are welcome to be guests. So that's how this show is not like our usual shows, but we're excited to bring it to you because this is what we do. As you all already know, we also will do reviews on our channels of stuff just like this and whatnot, and spoil discussion. So I'm excited, man, as well.
Yeah, so Mike, I guess what you could say is we're in the entertainment business, right?
Correct. Yes.
At the end of the day,
Yes.
And here's the cool thing too. You guys might see. Remember, Mike and I, we first started where we wanted to go to restaurants and eat. So, guys, you might have a video of us vlogging, and we're reviewing food.
No, you will. We're still going to do that as well, something like that. So,
in fact, Mike, we're supposed to go out soon, so we might have to do that.
That would be pretty cool, actually.
Think about it. Big Mike and Little Ant return to Budokan.
That's true. Yeah, episode 2, return to Budokan.
Yeah.
So I'm down for that or whatever. And my girl, she's already prepared. She's like, I know you're gonna have a camera. So yeah, you're gonna have a camera.
Well, I will, but I'm always like, as long as people are cool with that, So yeah, I mean, listen, that's what we want to do. So So guys, we got 2 guests for you, and Mike, thank you very much. I was so excited about it, having guests, and thank you for bringing me down a little bit. So you had to reiterate to the people because they're probably like, "Oh, where's Mike's questions and where's this questions and where's it?" Right? But today, like Mike said, movies. So we got 2 guests. One, you guys who have been following us may not know as well. He is a guy that I've known over the past year through my gaming, and I like to call him my friend. He is none other than Stadia Pro Gaming, and here he is.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Yes, sir. Listen, we put like the bat signal out. Mike was like, if anybody want to be on the show, and the first week, Spectre inboxed me immediately, and you inboxed me immediately the second week and said, hey, I want to be in. And you have a love for movies. So that's pretty cool as well. Now, our second guest, let's see. Hold up. Josh said, I can't hear you when I'm in the studio. Oh, yeah, because we were muted, Josh. So if you want, jump back in. Well, I kind of spilled the beans. I want to doll it up a little bit. He wrote me, and I got it the only way he could hear me. But we got another guest coming. His name is Josh. But we'll make a big deal about it when he pops in. Josh, if you like, can you jump in, sir? It wasn't you. We had ourselves muted.
Well, in the meantime, nice to meet you, Stadia Pro Gamer and whatnot. I see you in Anthony's different shows all the time and stuff like that. So it's nice to finally see who you are. I love the theater background right there. That's pretty dope, actually. Yeah.
Hey, thank you very much for having me. And you guys just look like you have all kinds of fun on here, man. And I like to join the conversation. So it's awesome to be here.
Yeah, we do, man. We have a lot of fun, man. And again, it is fun throughout our channel. So many shows, so many reviews, so many spoiler discussions. You guys will love it. So
yeah, it's pretty cool. So I'm sure Josh is going to get in here soon. Do you guys want to just start this thing up?
Yeah, let me just kind of while Josh is doing that, let me just kind of give a background on how we got to where we were. Is the first topic the Snyder cut, right? I think.
I almost feel like that's the bigger thing to talk about.
Okay, so when do you want to talk about that? That's what I'm saying. Like
Falcon and Winter Soldier, I think.
All right, so Falcon and Winter Soldier is the second show from Marvel on Disney Plus and whatnot, and stars Anthony Mackie and Sebastian Stan as the Falcon, as the Winter Soldier, following the events of Avengers Endgame after Captain America gave Falcon the shield and what they plan to do after that. Just for background, it was supposed to be Marvel's first show they brought out, but because of the pandemic, things got mixed around, so it wound up being the second show. And we're going to get into it and talk about it.
So let's do this right now. Full disclaimer: the title is called Spoiler Discussion. So if you don't know what that is, Mike and I, we do reviews, right? When it's spoiler free. This is a spoiler discussion, people. If you haven't seen Falcon and Winter Soldier, and if you haven't seen Justice League Snyder Cut, this is your time to exit. And then come check out the show afterwards, see if your thoughts line up with ours and with the guests. But we're gonna be, all out discussing, it will be spoiled. So just want to say that.
Yeah, is Josh in studio yet or no?
No, not yet.
Okay. Well, all right. So Falcon and Winter Soldier, guys. Let's give it to our guests first. What were your thoughts on it? So.
Well, Endgame left us with an old Captain America who handed off the shield to the Falcon and sort of Bucky, but he gave it to the Falcon to kind of pick up the mantle, and that's sort of where we left off. Now, apparently, from watching the show, the Falcon was snapped, so he was gone during the event,
right.
And then, of course, at the end of Endgame, they snapped everybody back into existence, and we saw in Wanda, which you guys talked about a few weeks ago. I don't know, man. It's very different than a regular Avengers show. Would you guys agree with that?
Which one, Falcon and Winter Soldier?
Yeah,
hold up.
It's got some action. But
here's the thing. So when you say regular Avengers show, we've only had one. So you mean it's different?
No, one? I mean, okay. My example is this: Marvel is going out of their way to show us that Falcon is very human and Bucky is very human. That's, I guess, what I'm saying. Like they kind of shifted gears a little bit.
Gotcha.
I don't necessarily think they shifted gears, but I think they have more time. So when you have a episodic show, you can build up and show more depth than with a movie. You have time to show Falcon's family in a movie. It's not gonna happen and whatnot. So I think you just kind of got more time and whatnot. But it is very different from the viewership standpoint. I do agree with that. Yeah, and I like that because you get more depth for each character.
Yeah, I looked at it differently. I looked at it differently. I feel like it's a TV show, so me personally, man, when it started off, the first scenes, like I felt like I was in a Marvel movie. For me, like I said before, watching the trailers, I feel like I would be into that more than I would be into WandaVision. And for me, the first episode, I'm like, this is my type of stuff. So I
think he's talking about the in-depth part of like, Bucky going on dates and Falcons with his sister. Like you don't really see that in Marvel movies, stuff like that.
Yeah, that is true. Yeah, I guess that is true. But I guess I just knowing that, like you said, it's a series, so it's not a movie, So I gotta in my mind, like again, this is the second, right? So we've seen Wanda having kids, and they had a formula. And now it's cool. Like how many times we say, "Oh, the movie can't be better than the book because the book has so much more." Well, the TV show is gonna trump a movie.
To your point, Anthony, Falcon and the Winter Soldier did feel like a big blockbuster Avengers moment in the beginning with the first few scenes, but they're doing 6 episodes, and I'm not sure they can keep that momentum up for each episode. Right. But the thing I find most interesting is that Bucky's damaged. Like in his mind, he's a regular dude. He might be able to punch through walls and have these awesome abilities, but in his mind, he's damaged. He's a broken human. And I find that extremely interesting.
Yeah. It's well, guys, before we go too far, let's announce none other than Mr. Josh Warren. He is in the building.
What up, Avengers? How we doing? Stadia Pro.
What's
What up,
going on? So
Josh
let me
Warren,
give you
what's
guys
up?
a little context. I met Mike. Mike introduced me to Josh.
Shout out to Big Mike, connecting the dots like Fury. I see you, my bro.
Mike is the glue, man. And together we've had so many shows and podcasts. If you guys follow us, follow Josh Warren, follow Mike, myself. But it's been awesome. Now we did a show called Mental Theater, and this is kind of like in that essence. This is what Mental Theater was, talking about movies, and that was it. So it's awesome for our first movie show to have none other than Mr. Josh Warren in the building. So I just wanted to, set the scene up so you guys can know who Josh is and how we connect with Josh. And Josh, here's Stadia Pro. Stadia Pro, here's Josh. And,
the referee, what's going on?
Hey, how are you, man?
I'm doing great. And just to tag on to your brilliant point, I feel like Bucky is definitely a broken guy. And I think there was a comment on a new Rockstars video that I think encapsulated completely. There was more characterization in the first episode with these two characters more than all the Avengers movies combined. And I think that's brilliant. I think Marvel is doing a wonderful job. And as Mike said, we see this with WandaVision and whatnot. So I'm very excited. And this is why I said in the group chat, I think this is going to be very similar to what Miguel loved about Winter Soldier, being content about espionage and having that aspect of go ahead, Tony.
I had to jump in there real quick. Guys, when Josh says Miguel, he's talking about Big Mike. It's a story about that, but
we'll talk about that later.
Dig a little bit to find it, but all right.
And also, we on one of our shows, we actually did a top 10 comic book movie countdown for the last 10 years, 2010 to 2020 at one point. And my top was Captain America: The Winter Soldier. That's where the context comes from that. So
yeah.
Still
I don't remember. That might have been like my number 2. Like that. I know it wasn't number 1, but that might have been my number 2. So that's a great movie.
Yeah, that was the time, actually. So, but go ahead, Josh. You were still talking. So.
Oh no, I just wanted to add it on Stadia Pro's game. We kind of stopped his flow out, so I'm gonna, if it's okay with you guys, I just want to give the floor back to him, let him keep flowing.
Go ahead, Stadia Pro.
Oh, right on. But yeah, Bucky's just a broken guy, and Falcon, he's been away for a little bit. His sister's been away for a little bit, and you can see the struggles in their lives. So exactly what you said, Big Mike. Because we get multiple hours with these people, it does get to breathe a little bit more. We get more character development, and I just can't wait to see where the character arcs are going to go for this story and where it leaves us in the MCU.
Yeah. Let me jump in there real quick just to thank the guests. Spectre, he told me he was going to watch a little bit, but he didn't want it to get spoiled. So just wants to thank the visionary of Stadia Bash Community Network, Spectre. Rated Gaming Cyborg is in the building. Josh, you was in the building earlier. Chris B is in the building. And Mr. Urban World is in the building. So that's pretty cool.
Even though he didn't watch, and he's watching and it's full of spoilers. So Mr. Urban World, get your life together, my bro. What you doing?
Yeah, man. Like, come on.
So just to jump back into the show, and we appreciate our guests, of course. Again, that first scene was amazing, and I think that was smart to have that as your very first scene in the show. The visual effects, all of it. Like, so they put a lot of money into that very first scene, and I think I got a chance to let Anthony Mackie, Falcon, show off more what he can do, and you see more in the movies and stuff like that. So I thought it was dope.
Now, Mike, you're a big movie guy, so let me ask you this, right? So we're all like movies. I'm a fan of mixed martial arts, and that was GSP. Now GSP was already in the Marvel, so was he playing his same character?
I believe so.
Backdrop the Leaper, which is also a character in the comic books or whatever like that. He's playing the same exact character, which is why I think it was dope, because Falcon struggled with him where Cap didn't as much. So I'm happy it showed like the different power levels of the two people. Because if Falcon would have beat him up, I'd have been like, hold on. Like, that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, because he was trying to give Cap a run for his money,
Correct. Exactly.
And can we give a shout out to his acting, man? He's getting better, man. I thought he did a great job as being a villain, at least in the first episode.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. I'm not a huge UFC guy, but I do know who he is or whatever like
No,
that.
man, he's gonna go down. Well, he not go down. He's one of the top UFC fighters in all time history. So it's kind of cool.
Wasn't he supposed to come back at some point? I thought
They keep trying to get him to come back. They wanted him to come back to face Conor. They wanted him to come back and face Adesanya. So they're trying to see if they could get him to come back. But he's like, he said it himself. If he they wanted him to come back and face Anderson Silva, but he said, listen, Anderson's kind of past his prime. If he come back, it got to be super meaningful for him to come back. It got to be a big name to make sense. And I agree, but I don't think he's ever coming back.
Okay. Hey Josh, what's that? Do you know what's that called with the other leapers when they were like flying out the plane and stuff like that? That's pretty dope or whatever. The ones that had like the squirrel suit.
The squirrel suit. That's what it's called.
Okay. Yeah. That's amazing. Like that. That's amazing right there.
That goes back to one of Tony's favorite movie, Transformers, when the squadron came out in the squirrel suit.
Yeah. But to be able to go to land it inside of a movie helicopter was just a crazy visual effect.
Dude, it was. Now let me ask you this, Mike, real quick. So remember way back when the trailers was out, and I said, man, listen, Falcon Winter Soldier looks up my alley, and you was like, you know what, WandaVision looks pretty cool. And I'm gonna ask all you guys, just from the first episode, if we real quick could rate from 1 to 10 on our expectations, how was they met? Right, 1 is not at all, 10 is extremely. For me, that first episode was what I wanted. Right, so for me, I'm like, man, y'all get a 9 because that first episode was like. That's my type of stuff. Mike, what would you give it on a 1 to 10 scale?
I'm gonna just name my number because I don't want to get into things I didn't like about the episode yet. We'll get to that later on, stuff like that. So I'm gonna just give you a 7.5, but I have my reasons. But we'll get to that later.
Cool. Josh,
I would say a solid 8. And from the first scene to how they had a lot of callbacks and Easter eggs, so I do appreciate it. And I think they did it as you both, all you gentlemen said. And it's not just the fan service way, because we know it's Marvel. They're very methodical and they're very detail oriented, which I think we all can appreciate and admire.
Definitely.
I'm going to go with a solid 8 too.
Okay.
As well.
Gotcha. Yeah, I'm a little harder to please, but that's because I'm a movie guy like that. So, but Anthony knows that.
Well, let me ask you guys this. Then Mike, what would you have gave WandaVision?
As a series?
Yeah.
Or
well, I guess it's not fair because I guess we can't do a series and just do an episode.
But I say first episode of WandaVision, I'm giving like a 6, but WandaVision you can't really rate as a episode because it's really a whole
because
the audience is in the dark. The audience is in the dark for that for like at least the first three episodes before you start to put those pieces together they want you to. Except us, we're dissecting every scene. So.
Right. Well, let me ask these guys. I mean, it's not about that, but as a series, how would you guys rate WandaVision, Josh?
I would say so. First episode, I definitely would give a 7, only because I love TV Land. I love Lucy. I love Dick Van Dyke. It felt like all those things. So, as a person who loves the golden age of television, I appreciated that callback. It showed the range of the actors, which I appreciated, and it showed the philosophy of how Marvel likes to hire great actors. So I appreciated that. And then as a whole, to allow it to unfold, I at least got to give it a 9 at the minimum.
Nice.
Stadia?
Yeah, I'll give it a solid 8 just because I really respected the deep dive into Wanda's psyche. She's a broken woman with a lot of grief and despair, and it really showed that. I think they did a great job on WandaVision.
Yeah, we already did it. We did a WandaVision show already, actually. Yeah. So you can go back to that. So I don't want to get into that. Can't give them everything. Let them go watch it. But back to Falcon and Winter Soldier. So I was surprised about the callback. I was surprised to see who was it? War Machine.
Yeah, man.
And whatnot, so that kind of surprised me as well. But then it makes sense because he is an Air Force captain or whatever he is and stuff like that. So definitely made a lot of sense. I was mad as hell Sam gave the shield away in the beginning and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So, you know what I want to throw in there is that I was so shocked when War Machine was in there. But what I want to take my hat off to Disney is what they're showing us is this ain't gonna be like if you had like I don't know, 90210, and then a big actor was on it, right? This is the Marvel Universe. Don't be shocked when you see big actors come up in it because they're doing it, you know? And I feel like just showing him in there is letting us know that they're gonna be pulling some, they're not gonna be pulling punches with these shows.
How aggravated were you guys at the fact that the Falcon is broke? Like the Avenger can be broke. That affected me a little bit, man. I was like, what? Goodwill? You're not getting like
Josh, were you surprised about that, or were you?
I was not surprised at all. We can get into a more on mental theater because Chloe has very strong feelings about this, and I completely understand Stadia Pro, bro. I feel you. I agree with Chloe and her sentiment, but it's like this. I know
there's a lot wrapped up in that,
right? But this is the literal reason why content like The Boys exists, because things like this these are the reality, because this is the reality of being a superhero, right? So Bucky's whole condition of him going to therapy is that he got pardoned. That's not just a regular term. Pardon is something from the president, right? Yeah. So it's some serious legal jujitsu you got to get to for y'all to exist and walk outside. So yes, y'all broke the law. Why? Because vigilantism. As you know, Batman, one of my favorite superheroes of all time, he's still a vigilante. He's still being illegal, right? At the end of the day. So the only caveat is that he's a billionaire.
Yeah.
And Tony Stark, I'm like, yo, he ain't hooked nobody up with some endowment, some anything. So that's kind of messed up as well. But I think because of how, let's say, controlling these the MCU politicians in this MCU universe, right? They're very hands-on, right? So they're part of Tony Stark's condition of being able to do all the things that he's doing. Oh, you can't give money to them. Oh, you can't do this. You can't do that. It comes with conditions. So to me, it makes complete sense.
Yeah. Now, let's give a shout out real quick to you brought up Chloe. 29ish is in the building, and Stadia Pro's very own wife, Sierra Rose, is in the building, and Cherry Man Games is in the building. Josh, so I love that you brought up The Boys, because The Boys, no one would have had a problem if somebody was broke, a superhero was broke. You'd be like, but Marvel, I think, because it's more sunshine and, you know, rainbows a little bit. But so that was clever. And I'm glad you said that, because I was like, what? He's broke? Kind of like Will, because I'm just thinking as Marvel that all their superheroes are taken care of. He's friends with Tony Stark.
Yeah, I was thinking of his boys. Yeah. Like, how could you put your life on the line with Tony Stark and not go, hey, man, my, I'm about to lose my family's business. Like, when that's a sneeze or a napkin to Tony, but I get it though.
I mean, to be fair, they had a lot of ish going on the past couple years. So I get it, because they never had a time to decompress, even after the whole blip, as they're calling it, right? They never had a time to mourn, decompress, because they always had to fight Thanos. They had to recover from fighting Thanos, then fight Thanos again.
Or they're fighting themselves through Civil War.
There we go.
We don't even know how much that was mended, so.
Well, I got a couple thoughts. But before I do, did you just make an announcement, Josh? Is mental theater coming back? I thought I heard that earlier.
No, he said it before. He said before that I forgot what it was on, but he did say like, oh, we should do like a mental theater. Even we could do a couples type thing. We could do, he did mention that before.
Right. Okay. So we're in the stages of some rebranding. So once that's taken care of, should be this week. We'll start up again 12:30 Saturdays.
I'm all for it, buddy. Whatever. So, but anyway, so for Falcon, you got to remember that Tony was alive while Falcon was blipped or whatever. So he wasn't here for those 5 years at all. And then when Falcon came back, Tony was dead. So they kind of never crossed paths for him to leave him or give him any money, at the particular time. But Tony didn't know Falcon was coming back when he was blipped at all for 5 years. But Tony has blessed all of them with billions of dollars in tech and stuff like that. So he has done that. But yeah, as far as Stadia is concerned, maybe at some point he could have said, to any of them, can I borrow some money or whatever it is and stuff like that. But it was not surprising to me, but it did make me think, because I love what Marvel did with that, because you never really looked into the world of superheroes and like, well, how are they feeding their family? How are they eating? Like, where are they working and stuff like that? So I think that is pretty dope, actually.
Well, and that's what I could.
They were living at Avengers Tower, number one. Number two, all their needs were being taken care of.
Yeah.
And then at the end of the day, if you think about it and I'm talking to Petty Pendergrass here specifically, if you were, he essentially sided with Falcon. So off the top of the dome, I'm not going to be looking very charitable in that instance from an emotional, sentiment as a human being.
Yeah. Also, if you remember, Rhodey, when he got hit, it was because of Falcon, because Falcon ducked the shot from Vision and it hit Rhodey, and then he got paralyzed because of it. So I don't think Tony really was messing with Falcon like that, to be honest with you.
That's deep.
So yeah, true stuff. But I just thought, let me fix that. I just thought it was an overall a good look into the world of all the superheroes, and we never think about, we know Daredevil's a lawyer, right? So, but that's where he works at. But a lot of them, we don't know what they actually do for money, stuff like that. So,
Peter Parker, Clark Kent, but we'll get into that later.
Yeah.
Well, something I can respect the boys for a lot is to show the collateral damage that could actually happen with superheroes.
Right.
Like, I thought that was amazing.
Wow. Yeah.
Chloe said, doesn't he get government contracts?
No.
And that he is Tony Stark. So yes, Tony Stark Sr. in this instance here.
right, yeah. He said he should charge away. She said he should charge away.
Because let's remember, guys, and how many Avengers were they in that floating jail? Like, right. I feel like they sowed the seeds of this a long time ago. This is why, me personally, I was never surprised, because you were already outlaws, you were already vigilantes, and it's kind of like a symbiotic relationship where they despise you. They're talking about the politicians, not human beings, not the people who
right.
Avengers, right?
Well,
but the politicians want control.
Talk about a thankless job.
And they didn't want him to do it. Like, remember the Soviet Accords or whatever. So,
right.
Like, what's his name? General Ross. He didn't want them to just go out and do stuff on their own. So they're not going to pay him if you're doing it. Because I'm like, no, we want you to sign up and let us know when you're going to do stuff. And they didn't want to agree with that. So definitely not. Tony definitely does, because he sells stuff to the government. So he got money, but he's not giving it to Falcon. Like I said, like, it's not, you know what I mean? So,
well, he's not even alive anymore. So,
well, yeah, even that, yeah, definitely stuff like that. I don't think Falcon gets government contracts though. I think he's really more like, I'm doing stuff on my own, stuff like that.
So,
he's a consultant for sure.
You brought up the being pardoned and having to go through therapy. I thought that was a very interesting take on Bucky, to be able to be out on the street. And the fact that he wasn't, he's in the room, but you can tell he don't want to participate.
Right.
But he kind of has to be a free man. So if he wants to walk out that door, he's got to play ball. She starts writing, hey, all right, I'll start talking. Just put the pen down. I just thought all that was fabulous. And the way that it weaves into the tragedy of his little story anyway later on is just beautifully done.
Let me ask you guys a question, right? So Stadia Pro made me think of something. So we're talking about how detailed it was to have the psychological, aspects of it that technically they probably wouldn't spend much time in a movie. Do you think some directors might be like, you know what? I don't want to make a movie. I want to make a TV show. What's your thoughts on that?
Well, I think it's just up to money. Disney's going to do, like, I expect a WandaVision season 2. Do I want one? No. I want it to be its own thing and to flow into the next movie and be like, oh, that was slick. That's what I want. But
there won't be a WandaVision season 2.
Yeah, it's too successful, so probably we will. But I get what you're saying though, because a director or a writer who wants to write something, right. You have more hours, you have more character development. You can breathe in the scene. Like, as an example, I know we're going to discuss the Snyder cut later, but if anybody's a fan of Batman v Superman, and then you go watch the extended version of Batman v Superman, there's so much, and it might just be 10 seconds of a scene that hung on, and then they cut it, but it's able to breathe and it makes more sense.
Right.
Yeah. Absolutely. And then I'm thinking about directors, because Marvel likes to share their directors and pass them around, right? So I'm thinking about directors like Ryan Coogler, who might be making a Wakanda series and how successful that could be, right? Especially if you get Killmonger in there, like an origin series, something like that. Come on. I think they're doing the Marvel recruiting process again. Like, listen, this is an avenue for those who want to be in this lane. And as we saw the success of Mandalorian with Jon Favreau, is this something you can do here? Then if you do successful here, you might be open to the Star Wars galaxy. So I think they're just they're recruiting for both TV directors in addition to movie directors.
Okay, I have one question for the panel, just real quick. You guys remember the Marvel stuff that they put on Netflix? How would you compare the two? Were you upset that it was leaving Netflix, and are you happy with what you got now?
So,
I'll go ahead. Yeah, I'll go last.
As a person who didn't watch them because I looked at them as low budget TV shows that I'm not spending my time on, but I'm watching these. So this is what I'm talking about. For me, right? When I look at a TV show growing up, right? TV shows never had the big actors until they was like retired and nothing special. This is the first time we're getting the actors that play a big role in a movie, but you could watch them at home on a TV show. So for me, it's no comparison. Now, I will say I've heard Daredevil. I've heard good things about a lot of the shows, a lot of them, right? But for me, I look at them like, they're probably got great stories, but they don't connect. Again, my biggest thing is these stuff connect, right? You can have the greatest TV show on Netflix, whatever, and I'm sure it's great, but does it connect? Not at all. But this, it connects, and it has the same characters that I could see in the movies. So no, it's not even I mean, the two shows we've seen from Disney or WandaVision and Falcon, for me is like here. And those shows, again, I can't say because I didn't watch them, but the impression I got, like they didn't even make me turn them on. So,
okay, well, I'll answer the question. I think that I was okay with them leaving Netflix because I think that like Disney will take the characters and do them well as well, so I'm okay with that. But Daredevil is, Daredevil's still better than WandaVision and Falcon and Winter Soldier to me. Like Daredevil is so good, bro, and it's just like the story for all 3 seasons is good. The Punisher was great as well, and then Luke Cage as a black person and seeing like his development in Harlem, I thought that was amazing as well. I think what Netflix did with those shows, not all of them though, because like what the other Iron Fist was trash. Yeah, but those were 13 episodes an hour each, right? Where WandaVision's like 35 minutes for 9 episodes, and I think Falcon and Winter Soldier was 43 minutes the other day, whatever like that. So I think that they had 13 hours to tell such an amazing story with Netflix. So I think just the world building and the story building was good. And Anthony, to your point, they didn't connect to the universe, but what was dope was that they connected with each other. And that was something I've never seen before. So there was actors from Daredevil who was in, Iron Fist, or who was in Luke Cage and stuff like that. So I thought that was
Jessica Jones, absolutely.
Jessica Jones, all that stuff. I think this is dope, and I love the big budget part of it. Like you said, it's giving you like a movie feel. But I think the storytelling on Daredevil, like again, it just was a little better to me what I've seen so far.
Yeah, I could definitely see that, and I actually have to agree with all of you. Like, I know you don't like that Tony Stark Jr., but you all make wonderful points because I look at it like demographics, right? So to answer Stadia Pro Game is wonderful question, by the way. I look at the content, the original Marvel content on Netflix, and I put that in the same categories as things on the CW, things like Arrow, things like Black Lightning, things like that. So things that, regardless if you're a comic book fan or not, you're going to enjoy this content on its own. And if you do like comic books, even better, right? And again, as you talked about, Tony Stark, during the production value on things like WandaVision, things like Falcon Winter Soldier, we already know is going to be that much better, and it's going to incorporate the actual actors of these actual roles, which is even more pivotal and a bigger deal. And I kind of look at it like how Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. was trying to be. Right. And I think they're going to surpass them, especially since they're going for the subscription service format. So we see subscription services like HBO and Showtime when they're able to attract bigger actors, kind of like House of Lies being able to get Kristen Bell and Don Cheadle. So I look at it like that. So I think actors will look at the MCU or Disney Plus as another premium subscription-based content that they can actually illustrate their acting chops, as Miguel would like to say.
Yeah. And I'm pretty sure those shows would have like got me. Like there's many shows where I was standoffish. It's like me in history. I don't really like again, like Pearl Harbor was an amazing movie, but I never wanted to see it. And when I did see it, I was like, man, that was great. So I'm pretty sure those movies was good. But again, I'm looking at it like the CW-ish type of stuff. And if I have so many stuff to watch, I'm not going to take my time to watch that. Now, I was a huge fan of Smallville. We talk about CW. Smallville was amazing. It had how many seasons? But the production value again isn't a WandaVision or a Falcon, So
I wouldn't say it was CW-ish though, or like CW, but they're also like street level heroes, right? All of them, Daredevil, Jessica Jones, they don't have any real powers and whatnot. So I think it was able to be done on there. But the other part is Netflix. So you got cursing, you got sex, Punisher's like bloody. It's a huge difference from Disney Plus. They can only go so far. So those are more like adult superhero shows to me, or hero shows.
We do got to give a little bit of credit to the CW though for like Smallville and stuff. Like some of the stuff they did in Smallville, like him being a Superman going into puberty, climbing the rope and looking over at his buddy, and you can see through his face. Like that kind of stuff, like to the muscle in his skull, that kind of stuff I thought was amazing. And without that kind of content, I don't think we'd be where we are today, as a matter of fact.
Yeah, I never watched Smallville. I can't lie to you. I never was into that and whatnot.
Wow.
It was interesting. It's just, an alien. I mean, every teenager, when they go through puberty, feels like an alien anyway. But being an actual alien and figuring out you got Superman powers would be even more crazy. But it was a good show.
I heard the new show is really good, though. Superman and Lois, or whatever. I haven't watched it yet, but I heard it's
I haven't caught it.
Yeah, we keep saying we want to watch it. We just haven't.
Yeah, but back to Falcon and Winter Soldier, the Bucky part we were talking about. So I thought it was, because we forget that he is 106 years old, just like Cap and stuff like that. Right. And that he's been dealing with wars his whole entire life. Because we forget that in Captain America 1, he was in World War II, Bucky, and whatnot.
Yeah. How long was he brainwashed and was a stone cold killer?
Wow.
I don't know how many years that was, but
yeah, it killed so many people, including Tony's parents. Don't forget that. Another reason why Tony ain't giving no money. But that's not but that, and I can see it. And so let me ask you a question. You guys a question. Did that reveal of the Asian guy and that being the guy's father that he killed, like, did that surprise the heck out of you guys? Like, it did me? Because
it didn't surprise me. It broke my damn heart, man. Because like Bucky's finally on a human level, like connecting with somebody, trying to keep him out of trouble. Hey, don't fight. Like, settle down. He trying so hard to help this guy, and then he done ruined the dude's life. He's the instrument that destroyed this man. It's poetic and it's sad, man. But awesome writing.
Absolutely. And this is what he wasn't able to do with Tony Stark Senior, excuse me, right? And this is one of the things that I think after Black Panther, and we saw the cutscene with him in Wakanda getting that much needed therapy and essentially got to escape the world and actually think about himself and do some self-awareness and self-reflection. I don't look at Bucky the same after that scene, because I understand he's on a different path. His character arc has already been changed from previous movies ago. So I look at him as completely different. So it makes sense that he would do this and he wouldn't be able. I'm not going to say he's not going to be able to spill the beans, because it's kind of his only friend that he has, but he might have to in order to complete his therapy for him.
Stop that nightmare.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah,
I feel like they might stretch it, like he kind of like comes back at the end of the season and tell them or something like that. I feel like or something. But I thought the guy at first was like somebody who Bucky was in World War II with. He was like really old or something like that.
An old
like
guy,
yeah. I had I didn't, or one of those Howling Commandos and stuff like that. I had no idea until they revealed the picture. I was like, oh my god, that's his son. That was crazy to me and whatnot.
Well, if it was going to be World War II, they would actually have been enemies.
Right. Yeah, that's true.
Well, no. It was an Asian guy on the Howling Commando and Captain America 1, a part of that crew, actually, and whatnot. So I thought that was him, actually. So, but anyway, Tony, what do you think of that part or whatever? So
I'm all in. I think I want to see where it goes. So me personally, like this is gonna sound bad, but I was just wowed by the action, and I needed that action after watching WandaVision. It got really good at the very end, but I'm more the simple guy. I'm more the entertainment guy. I love a good story, and I think the cool thing about WandaVision, I love an underdog. I say it again. I didn't like it in the beginning, and then I loved it, so it made it like, oh, so much better. But Falcon and Winter Soldier started off with me like, you're giving me what I want from day one, and you're also giving me deep stories. But I just want to see where this part goes. You know?
Wow. So I think that's a great point to Miguel's earlier point. That imagine how would we all feel if this came out first before WandaVision? So we got the action that we wanted. Right. And then it gave us something more in depth to bite into. Right. I think now you see the
narratively speaking, them shooting the stuff first, having their idea, and then jumbling around. Do you think that is going to cause any problems? Because like we should have got this first.
Oh, narratively, no, because I feel like no, I think they rearranged their movies and stuff like that too. So I don't think it'll cause any problems, whatever. I mean, it's all post blip. This is probably a few months after the blip, right. but timeline wise, WandaVision is like 3 weeks after the blip. So it's like right when they came back or whatever like that. So this is kind of like after that anyway, because they've been kind of living life for a few months now, Bucky and Sam. So I think it'll be fine. But for me, like, I thought the action scene was dope, but I'm more of a story guy. Like, I feel like action is everywhere. So I needed like a good story. So I did like the in-depth parts of Bucky a little more, and Sam and his sister and nephews and stuff like that.
Well, that's interesting because they said 6 months after the blip, and you saying WandaVision was three
weeks. 3 weeks. Yeah.
So chronologically, Wanda would have went first anyway. That's interesting.
Right. Anyway,
it is interesting.
Exactly. Yeah, just 3 weeks it came there. So what about the other character we said? I think it was what's his name, Gonzalez or Torres and stuff like that. And him working with Falcon. What do you guys think about that?
He has sidekick vibes written all over him.
Yeah. He does. Yeah.
He might be like an up and coming new, they might try to do something with him, because he's young.
I think because I was watching New Rockstars, and apparently there is some comic precedent for him becoming a superhero as well. I forget the name of the superhero, like more of a sidekick superhero, but there is some precedent for that. So we'll see if they explore that. That'll be interesting.
I got a big question. What did you all think of the stooge Captain America?
Oh,
come on, man. You know Falcon done he done had a tear come out of the corner of his eye when he seen that. He said, man, I had that in my hand.
Yeah.
You're going to give it to this schmuck?
They made it like they was going to put it away somewhere. Like,
yeah. No, that's too much. I mean,
again,
you're going to use it, give it to somebody else, use that marketing,
Right. But that again, I was reminded of The Boys when I saw that. I was like, hey, it's a business, right? And we understand politics is old school marketing.
Captain handed it to him and said, hey, this is a torch. I'm handing it to you. And he went, I'm going to put it in a display case. So to be fair to your point, Stadia Pro Gaming, he kind of went against Cap's wishes. And this kind of did it. Yeah. He said, this feels like it belongs to somebody else. Well, Cap's like, well, use it.
And then the government said it does belong to someone else.
Right. Yeah.
I think it sucks, man.
Do you guys have any theories on who that is? That ain't the next Captain America. I can tell you that.
Nah, I think it's going to be just some dude. He's probably going to get killed in action or something. And then I think they just needed a face is what they were saying. I feel
here's the thing. We don't know where the story's actually going. Are we going to be running back into Hydra again? Are we going to, are we getting at the guy who started off the whole Civil War thing? It starts with a Z or something.
Oh, Zemo's coming. Yeah, Zemo's coming. Yeah.
So I don't know where the story's going.
So actually, when I first saw him, I thought he might have been the soldier that Falcon rescued. I was like, oh, that's even that's a double gut punch. I was like, damn, you saved the dude that you replaced the person you were supposed to emulate. I can't confirm that as of right now, but I do think
they did look alike.
They did, and I do think it's going to have a connection with Black Widow and how allegedly her sister is going to replace her as the Black Widow. So this might be it could be the replacement as Captain America. We'll see.
My boy Matt, who's watching, which is crazy that he didn't write it in chat, but he texted me. Now, this is one of the guys, if I need a question, I'm hitting him up. He texted me and said that guy is he's called U.S. agent. So he's
U.S. agent.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you, Matt. I didn't even know he was watching, but he lives in Arkansas. Moved to Arkansas on me. But thank you for watching. I appreciate it. And help us out. If you see us struggling, help us out. Because Matt is like, if I need I'm calling Matt. Matt's still diehard. But thank you. I appreciate it. Didn't even know you was watching.
Well, what I guess I'm getting at with the fake Captain America guy, do you think they're going to do the Hydra evil Captain America storyline?
No, I don't think we're getting there. I think he's a part of the U.S. Like Josh said, like he's hired by the U.S. government. He's probably got a nice house. That guy probably. And, I'll tell you, I think he's hired by the U.S. government. And I don't know. It's something against Anthony Mackie. They didn't want him to do it. Not Anthony Mackie, but Falcon, Sam Wilson. And I felt like they had somebody in mind the whole time. They just had to get the shield back first or whatever. Right. And they bamboozled him to get the shield back. Right. And then
now, do you guys think there's going to be? Do you guys think there's going to be some major twist where Cap shows up again? Like he was through time. There's a period when you introduce time travel where almost anything is possible. We don't know how long his journey was.
He's still alive, so I think the old Cap might show up or whatever. Like the old one.
Let me ask you guys this. So I'm giving this show a lot of credit for having actors in it. But here's the thing I'm not sure Disney will do. Okay. Will Disney have a Chris Evans? Will Disney have a Robert Downey Jr.?
No.
Will Disney have those guys on this show?
No.
That's the question.
No, I don't think they will.
That was kind of what I was thinking. Like right. when he went to return all those stones in time, I know that he ended up back with his old lady and grow old and all that. But I'm just wondering, with time travel, anything's possible. Is Cap going to show up? The young Cap, not the old Cap.
Well, you mean show up in the show or show up back in the MCU?
In the show,
yeah,
even if it's for a cameo.
No. I don't think so. No, I think if you get Cap, you'll get old Cap, and like giving Wilson advice, stuff like that, or something like that. I don't think you'll get anything past that. But other part to talk about, was the Flag Smashers, that group or whatever like that. What do you guys think of them? So.
Yeah, I mean, they seem like kind of like the generic group. So we got to see. Like, I don't know if I don't know if they're an actual thing. But they seem like, they need some type of villain for the moment, But real quick, guys, so I'm a fan. Josh, wait till I tell you this. This might be spoilers, so I apologize. But, dude, in the beginning of the episode, when they was like, I heard a rumor that Captain America was up in the sky. Bro, that's from Marvel Avengers game. I was like, oh, snap. So sorry.
Wow, I didn't know that. That was a good tie. That's pretty dope, actually.
Yeah, I was like, stop playing. Yeah, I got you.
Because wasn't it supposed to come out like right before or right when the Avengers game came out initially, I think? Like August or September?
Yeah. No, the Avengers game came out September 1st. And that was supposed to come out, in like October, right? Or something around there.
Yeah.
October.
Yeah.
Now, here, could I just go off for a real quick tangent?
Now, hold on, just 1 second. Just to touch back on before, that group that you just mentioned, I think if Cap was there, it would have been cinched up right then. But because it was the Falcon, I think like he was saying, he struggled a little bit. So I think if Cap and the main, if the A-team was there.
Hey, listen, that is what it is. Yeah,
it would have been took care of.
Well, that's the whole thing when he gave him the show in the first place. It's like, Falcon's cool, whatever, but he's just a guy.
Yeah, he's a human.
Yeah,
I don't think he's got any.
Tony Stark Jr., there's another superhero does not have superpowers in the MCU.
It's true, but he's still more cooler than Batman.
Never in his life.
And listen, Batman wasn't going to be jumping out and flying and twisting and turning, doing all that stuff.
However, that I guess that insurgent group, whatever you want to call it, that terrorist group, they actually do have a soup or a group of soup. I wonder if it's a group of super soldiers, like what's going on there. So they kind of.
That's the thing. That damn super soldier serum has been around for like 90 years. It keeps showing up everywhere.
I'm wondering.
And I don't know. I wonder if the guy U.S. agent might have something in him or something. I don't know.
I'm wondering if Bucky's going to get himself a little serum. Or
He's got serum though, but Bucky got it inside him. Yeah.
But I think to your original question, Stadia,
not Bucky.
I think Captain America, the fraudulent Captain America, he's not going to have that it factor that the actual Steve Rogers had, like jumping in the grenade. I think he's going to be more money hungry and more of a coward, most likely.
Oh, that would be so interesting to see that version of Cap, where they're trying to put him out there as a symbol, but he's just fraudulent as hell.
Yeah.
What's the name of the boys again? Homelander. He's gonna be our Homelander.
He's definitely gonna be Homelander.
Instead of saying I could do this all day, I could do this about an hour. Whatever, that's it.
So guys, Mike, help us out here. How we wind this down, because we gotta get into the Snyder cut, man.
Well, yeah, we do and whatnot. Well, for me, let's talk about things we didn't like. We haven't gotten to that yet, or whatever. I don't know if nothing you didn't like, Tony, but we can talk about that. Anything that you didn't like in the first episode?
I guess I didn't like when the action stopped, but
all right.
No. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I'm not the biggest fan of both of those guys.
Right.
Again, I'm not like Josh could probably see. I'm not the biggest fan of Falcon. Not the biggest fan. I thought. Me personally, Winter Soldier was probably a really cool villain for Cap. Yeah. Him as a hero is like, So the funny thing is, I'm not that big on them two, but I appreciate them being characters from a Marvel movie, having a TV show, right? So I love the action. I love what they both bring. Nobody has superpowers yet, but I think the show for me, from what I got, episode 1. I don't know if there was any nitpicking I really had. I think they got me when they had like a 10-minute action scene, in a 40-minute show. So I was like, oh man. So I think right now I'm cool. I can't think of anything I want to nitpick just yet. I'm good.
Josh, anything you didn't like about it?
Not as of yet. I mean, besides I think in terms of a humanity point of view, the fact that there's a lot of people who put everything on the line to get the world back to normal, and they don't have any money in their account. Besides that, I think that's to me, that's just a humanity issue. Like what's going on there? And then the fact that you're keeping them, you pulling them by the strings just because, they broke the law, but they did save you, they saved the world, and you still want to treat them like they're criminals. So I think that part is messed up, but it adds to character development. It adds to the storyline. And we understand this is a TV show. It's a marathon, not a sprint.
It also adds to life itself, like coming back from a blip. You were blip for 5 years. Like how the guy said, like, you don't have any credit for the last 5 years. Like, how? I wasn't even here. You know what I mean? So I feel like how many other people besides Falcon are going through that? They had no credit, no history for 5 years, and now they can't get a loan. That's crazy to me. Or whatnot. What about you, Sadie? Anything you didn't like?
Nothing I didn't like. Maybe some things I wasn't ready for, like the just how sad these Avengers could actually be in their own head and in their own life. Like when you watch the Avengers, it's it's quick quirks back and forth, and it's fun. They're lighthearted. These guys are broken. They're damaged. They're sad. They got all these circumstances that are around them, and look at that guy at the bank, just as an example. Like he wasn't seeing Falcon, okay? He wasn't seeing the guy who saved the fucking planet that's sitting there. Instead, he's doing a selfie and shit. And hey, man, what about the farm? Fuck your farm. Let me talk to you about, being an Avenger. Like, I don't know, man. A lot of that was very real. And I have to say my hat goes off to the writers. It wasn't bad. It was just different. And I appreciated that.
True.
I agree.
Yeah, for me, like as far as the show is concerned, it's weird. I'm kind of with you, Tony, a little bit in a sense, because I'm like, they started off with such a huge action set piece, so it kind of made the show go down for me rather than up. So it was a weird thing to do. But what I didn't like was the fact that it's only 6 episodes, and we had a whole episode with no Falcon and Winter Soldier together and whatnot.
Right.
So I worry like that with 5 episodes left or whatever, like, you know, like we're not going to get enough of that. Or Zemo, he was also in the first episode and stuff like that. So Marvel scares you. It's almost like you're on a clock or whatever like that. Like, you guys only got 5 episodes left, you know. So when are you going to kind of get this thing together and stuff like that, or whatever? So, but overall, though, I was thoroughly impressed. So, I mean, we can just end it there, and we can, you know, bring it back and, you know, for future episodes and stuff like that. So.
Whew. All right, well, guys, that was pretty cool. I gotta breathe hard. Reason being, I don't know if you guys noticed or not, but I personally wanted to do the ultimate thing. Right? I watched over 7 hours of Justice League yesterday. I woke up and watched the original Justice League, which is 2 hours and 17 minutes. Yeah. And then I took a break. You know, I had a really awesome interview. Josh, thanks for tuning in yesterday. That was really cool.
I watched too. I was on there. I watched it.
Oh, okay. Sorry, my bad. And Stadia Pro, you too. Thank you. So then I took a break, took a nap, woke up, and I watched the other one around 9:43. I turned it on, and so I literally, as I watched it, I made a list of all things new. There were 65 major new things, right? 65. Now, there was a little stuff. I said, I'm not going to write that down. But like different scenes, 65 things I wrote down that I was like, oh, wow. Oh, wow. Oh, wow. So I'm ready. That's why I wanted to save this for last. I know Mike was like, oh, you want to do Falcon? No. I'm ready to get this in because I over 7 hours of Justice League yesterday. So I'm ready to talk about the ins and outs. And the thing is, too, I might have a different perspective. I'm dying to hear you guys because I only seen it once when it came out in the movies and never seen it again. So my memory, as I watched it, I'm like, oh, my God, I'm glad I watched this because certain stuff I'd have been thinking like, oh, wasn't that scene in the movie? But now I'm like, oh, no, they changed that. They changed that. So I'm dying to talk. So.
All right, so here's where I want to start. Like, I know Josh and I were super excited about a Snyder cut coming out for the stuff like that. But I know Anthony was like he was a little skeptical. He was like, I don't get it, same movie, blah, 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 this and that.
Here's my question. Remember, I said, let me ask you guys this, because you guys was big on it. I said, this is what I said to them, Pro. I said, you tell me, and mind you, this was like, a year ago, right?
Yeah.
I said, you tell me, what would you want them to add in the movie that would have made it better? They both was like, I mean, I don't know. I was like, because everybody said they didn't like the movie, but you just create a scene. What would you want to be in it? So now we got 4-hour movie, and man, there was so much. So,
okay. Well, that's my question for you, just real quick off the bat, since you were a little skeptical about it and whatnot. Like, so that was your expectation. Did it surpass your expectations?
So just to clarify, I wasn't skeptical. I just felt that the movie I had was okay, was good enough. But to be fair, I'm not a diehard DC guy. So for me, you don't have to like Marvel. I've been more critical. You know,
I am gonna gush on Snyder, but let's take one thing into consideration. It's his second bite at the apple for the movie. I mean, partial, he had to stop because of family issues and whatnot. We may or may not get into that, but meaning he had probably 10 hours worth of footage to go through, to look at, to re-edit. You're an editor, Anthony. You know the amazing things you can do if you've got the footage, and they had to have had over 10 hours. So I'm gonna gush on him. I thought this was fantastic, but just remember, it is kind of his second attempt at making the movie.
Right. So here's what's cool. When I watch, so here's what's brilliant. I'm glad you said that. As a content creator, dude, there's times where I'll spend 4 hours on a 5-minute video. I've done that before. So when I watched the original and hours later, I watched the new one and I seen what they took. There were scenes that they just changed wording. I was like, wow, there were scenes where it was the same scene, but obviously they had other footage. And I even wonder, like, so did you just swap out? Because I felt like there was certain stuff that was better. I was like, oh, they didn't use that. That was such a cliche saying. And then
colors changed, tone changed, all kinds of things.
And then
changed.
There was music. They added music to certain scenes that had no music. They changed certain music that where they wasn't.
Hold on. So let's back up, because I think Stadia Pro kind of touched on it, which is true. So Snyder had his movie pretty much completed about 80%, I would say, completed and whatnot. And then he had a tragic death with his daughter. You know what I'm saying? He had to leave the project. He turned in what he had to Warner Brothers. No, to Warner Brothers or whatever. They thought, this is too long. This is too much. They brought Josh Whedon in and said, we need you to clean it up, to get it out there, but you got to cut it some and blah, blah, blah. So he changed the original Josh Whedon or whatever. So they didn't change it now. It's changed. It's just back to what it was and stuff like that. Yeah. But I do want to say, I feel like Josh, not that he's bad, because he did Avengers 1, which is in the top 10 of all time, obviously. But I felt like that the WB put him on certain restraints as well. Like,
I think the WB had too many cooks in the kitchen for too long, and they just they wouldn't give one person's vision a chance. And seeing what Snyder did here, they effed up. They should have given him the ball and let him run it into the end zone and spike it. Because this would have been
question to you
just
guys.
As good as the MCU.
Let me ask one question, guys. If you were, if it was, because it was 4 hours and 3 minutes to be exact, right, which is as good as the MCU. I agree with that. Would you have watched this in theaters? Do you think it would have been good in theaters?
Oh, yeah, I would have been there for the whole 4 hours. Absolutely.
Yeah, so, Mike, originally you told me it wasn't in theater, and we was going to go see it, and that's when I texted you. I said, bro, it's not in theater. You was like, oh, my bad. And we looked it up again yesterday just to make sure, because we were planning on seeing it in theaters. That's what we wanted to do.
It would have been awesome to see it in the theaters. Matter of fact, I wish that I could have seen – I went and saw Batman v Superman in the theater. I didn't hate it, but I didn't like it very much. But watching the 3.5-hour version – it fixed all the stuff I didn't like about, these studios like to go in and force the content creators, the directors, the writers. They force all these people to do crazy stuff that you wouldn't think that, would enter into the movie, and they change stuff, cut stuff, force you to hire a certain actor if you don't even see the, so it's amazing movies even get made, as a matter of fact.
Absolutely.
Josh, would you have wanted to see it for 4 hours?
4 hours, it would have been an adventure, because I never stayed in the movie theater for 4 hours. Yeah. I think the closest movie, would be Titanic, which is like 3 and some change.
Or Avatar.
Or Avatar. There we go.
Avatar,
but I would say I think this would have been better broken up into 2.
Yes.
Me too. Yeah. Me too. Yeah. That's what I was getting at. Yeah. I think
the stuff that was
one, just Sleep Part 2. I agree with that.
Just the stuff that was set up in this, that was left on the cutting room floor of the last movie, blows my mind. That's what I mean by these cooks in the kitchen. Oh, you don't need the Green Lantern. Throw him away. You don't need the Cyborg to have any important part in the movie. Just throw him away.
So let me ask you guys this.
I can see that controversy, man. I can see how Ray felt upset, and even Jared Leto. He did such a good job as the Joker in that.
Well, he wasn't in it before. He wasn't in it before. They had him now. He was new. They just shot that scene like a few months ago.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you this. What do you think? So
I want to see that future. I'm just saying. I want to see that future. The Batman's all skulking around in, trying to either get the Flash, because I know they had some big thing planned with all these movies, and I don't know if it's happening anymore. But I imagine the Flash was going to have to do some time shit to try to save Lois, so that Superman don't go off his rocker.
Well, they used that.
I want to see that movie.
They used that story a bunch of times. That story was also they did that in the video game Injustice. So Lois dies, and then Superman, that breaks him, and then he decides that he turned to a bad guy, and so they did that. But let me ask you guys this: what scene? And I don't know, again, for me, it's so vivid because I watched them in the same day. But what scene in that? What scene do you feel shouldn't have, like, let's say they have to keep the original movie, but you said, okay, I watched the 4 hours. Now, one of those scenes I had to have been in there. What do you feel that was taken out that should have been in there?
Two things: the Flash stuff, and
Cyborg.
And the Cyborg. Yeah, it's too important. Those character moments are too important not to have in there. And that's where it comes to time frame and letting it breathe a little bit. Like
Yes, but see, here's the thing. I think the movie could have been about 3.5 hours. It's still good. Like less than the 2 hours that more than 2 hours that they made Whedon do, but less than the 4 hours and whatnot. I feel like that. Since Snyder did have HBO Max, he could do what he wants. He put everything in this month. Like it's all of it in there. But I feel like some could have been a little bit cut. Yeah. But here's what happens. I get what you're saying, Stadia Pro. But if you have a 4-hour movie, you only can show a certain amount of shows at a theater per day. So the studio has to cut it because they want more shows to recoup more money back. So that's why it has to get cut and whatnot.
My only point is look at Lord of the Rings. I love the Lord of the Rings, man. I tell you, and I love the 2.5 hour versions. But I tell you what, if you watch
extended cut,
it puts so much context and clarity on stuff.
Just think how many people would have not went to the movies if it was that long, right?
No, true.
Stadia Pro Gaming. I just have to give a disclaimer out there. Big Mike
here we go.
The Lord of the Rings or the
Big Mike has never seen any of the Lords of the Rings.
Wow. This is not true. This is not true. I did see Pro 1, but I haven't seen the other one.
Yeah, you didn't really.
You were occupied.
Yeah, right.
So guys, me personally, man, the stuff that was missing with like Josh, the cyborg stuff is a must have for me. Like the Flash stuff was cool, but the cyborg, when you always felt he was just limited. And here's the thing, right? So what I'm going to say is this: from what we've seen, like it was some cool stuff with the Flash, but the stuff with the cyborg was more important to building up a character. Like,
well, you take the cyborg stuff out and the story starts to not make sense. And that was the problem with the original Justice League. They had to cut so much stuff up and jumble it around that, things just didn't connect the way they were supposed to.
Yeah. They were so quick with his character. And like, even when they went to meet him, it was just stuff that was off. Although I feel like in the original, it was better when Diana met him. Was a lot better. I don't know why they changed that, but it is what it is. But yeah.
But yeah, he had a great part, and they made him instrumental to the plot, and then they just cut all that away. So I can understand how the actor would have been upset.
Okay, I think the stuff with Flash, like the fuck when he met the Iris, I think that could have been cut or whatever. Like honestly, I don't really need that part. But Cyborg, yes, he is key to the entire movie. And the stuff with his dad and his family, the build up to the character, because of his instrumental part in the end, I love the build up for him and whatnot. So I see, I'm with Shoes Pro. I agree why Ray Fisher was so upset, by that part being.
What about the villain? What did you guys think of the villain? Because
I thought better this time. His motivation.
You saw blood when he killed people. When he was knocking people into the rocks and stuff. Like there was blood in the water. Somebody just like took the handcuffs off of Snyder and said, "Here's your bucket full of film. Make the movie you wanted to."
But that's also a rated R movie. So how many people would have saw it in the theater of the rated R movie? You got to make money still, pro.
Yes.
You got to think about what you got to, how you can,
But again, I will say this is what Warner's does. This is what DC does. They're in the dark arts. This is what they do. So you gotta. I think.
But when Josh Whedon
epitomized that.
When Josh Whedon took over, though, it had a little lighter tone. It was a little more chummy,
on
like
purpose.
the Avengers.
On purpose to give it that PG-13 rating. Yeah.
Now, let me ask you guys this. So here's the big, I'm curious when I watched it. When I watched the first one and the second one, I said, I got to ask you this. Was Darkseid needed or not?
Yes.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes.
I think so.
What about you, Tony?
In the original, don't they replace Darkseid with...
No, it's just Steppenwolf the whole time.
It's Steppenwolf the whole time.
Yeah.
Yep. So that whole scene,
Darkseid was important.
Listen, the scene where and I'm going to get into, which is bad. The scene where they beat Darkseid and he retreats. Originally, he was Steppenwolf. That wasn't Darkseid. Now here's the problem. Man, they made Darkseid look too weak, and I feel like, dude, if you're gonna put him in the movie, like,
do you know the characters who were fighting him?
Right, that's what I'm saying.
If you know the characters who were fighting him, he wasn't weak. I mean, you had a Green Lantern, you had Zeus,
Ares, you had the gods, you had the Atlanteans, you had the Amazons. He wasn't weak. They were all against him.
I feel
I
like,
get what you're saying. He wasn't a Thanos to where it took two
well,
movies
yeah,
to get to him and to end it.
There you go.
But
because I had to tell my wife,
but
I
they
said,
were
hey,
gonna get there.
So the thing
They
is,
were
I told my
gonna.
wife, I said, she watched it and I said, this guy's named Darkseid. He's the DC's Thanos, pretty much. She's like, oh, okay. And then it was like, but he got chipped. but I felt when I watched the first one, I felt Steppenwolf was good to take the fall and they beat him up, made him leave. I would have rather that Darkseid never came yet, and you would have felt like there was a bigger threat coming. But you already pretty much beat Darkseid. So for me, I'm like, he just want to figure his way out to get back to the Earth to find his code.
Well,
you know?
but hold on, bro. But they're no more gods. Like there's no Zeus, no Ares now. So Darkseid can come back now and not have to worry about them, stuff like that. I mean, there's not that many Atlanteans like there used to be.
Right.
The Amazons are in hiding. It's a much different place for him to come back to now than they would have been back then. So.
Yeah, and if this is his original vision, like I can see exactly it was going to expand like the MCU. Like, I mean, identically, if he would have been able to just like given the reins and people left him alone to see his vision, shoot, man.
Well, that's the truth because so to your point, your question earlier, Zach said his second movie would have been that whole nightmare sequence or whatever.
That's a shame.
With Superman turning bad and everything else to have like a redemption in the third movie. So it would have been 3 movies that he had planned and stuff like that.
That would have been awesome.
That would have been, man, because I'm telling you, by the time the credits rolled on this, I was excited for what's not coming.
Exactly.
Yeah, I do. And also the Manhunter, Martian Manhunter that came out of nowhere. I was like, yo, where'd that come from? Whatever like that. So that's
well, you know what's cool? So Martian, when they showed him, because I know who Martian Manhunter was, so I was like, oh wow, it's Martian Manhunter. And then it was cool because I watched the video. I did one of your moves, Mike. After I watched it, the last thing I watched before I went to bed is all like a bunch of differences they showed from the original to this one, and they showed that the Martian Manhunter was in 2 movies already. So I was oh wow, that's cool. Yeah, he was in Go ahead.
But don't it make you mad? Like, yo, you were alien the whole time. Why didn't you help? Man, still.
So stuff like that does make you're kind of like, wait, we already fought Doomsday. We done did all this stuff. You was around.
Right.
Well, something in the very beginning of the movie I want to mention that I thought was fantastic. Since we were discussing how you thought Darkseid was beaten too easy, watching the Green Lantern get killed. We have no idea what quadrant he was supposed to be protecting or whatever, but watching him get killed and then his hand get cut off and that ring zip around and take off to go find another worthy person.
That was cool.
Man, it's just sad, man. I wish that Zack Snyder could get the Kings of the Kingdom back and continue his vision because
he might.
I thought it was fantastic.
After this reception, he might.
Listen, before it was released the Snyder Cut, now it's released the Snyderverse. They're trying to get the Snyder Universe back going, so you never know. Because I would think, even knowing, like, it's crazy. Like, we know what his plot would be now for the second and third movie because he put it out there, but I still think it would be good.
I'd watch it.
Yeah.
And did anyone see that Christopher Nolan got an EP credit?
Did he? Really? I didn't see that. That's crazy. Whatnot. Okay. Wow. Okay, Nolan. Yeah. So how about the beginning? Well, that was different too, because the beginning it was Superman's death from before. Going around.
It was almost like a Star Wars Rogue One, Star Wars like situation to where you could almost watch them back to back.
They started off where you left off when he died. That was Doomsday and him dying, and his body like.
And I like the dynamic of his voice or his breath was actually the noise in the comic book. When he died, it was the thunderclaps of them hitting each other and the buildings crumbling around him. But when he died, his last gasp of air, I thought that was pretty powerful, man. Where it went around the whole world and everybody could feel it. And the box was freaked out.
But what was cool was, so when you watch the original, it started off with the Amazons and the box turned on. But when you watch the Snyder Cut,
it just makes more sense.
Voice echoed, and they actually got to show all the boxes turn on. Yep. And that was really cool. I was like, oh, wow. You got to see that. Now,
I want to see, I would like to see Darkseid fire up his old ancient army and fly to Earth. I want to see that, man. Because he got to get there the hard way now. I want to see that.
Yeah. to be I want to be a little critical, man. After watching them two, there was a lot I didn't need, to be honest with you. When I watched it and I got to watch it again, I like some of the stuff they changed. One thing that really bothered me, and it was just a dumb thing, but when in the original, Cyborg came and his dad came home, and his dad said to him, he said something like he used the term monsters, right? And so Cyborg said, no, Cyborg did, and Cyborg was like, oh, I wasn't talking about me, I was talking about you. And I was like, wow, that was so brilliant. And then in the next one, they had 3 different scenes where he met his dad in the same room. And I was like, oh, when they didn't do it the first time, me and Sandy was like, oh, wow, I'm surprised they didn't use that. And then when they brought him back, I was like, okay, he's going to say it. And then the third time, they literally in the same room, it was 3 different moments and they never did it. I mean, it's kind of simple, but it was such a clean, like it was such a, like kind of like with great power comes great responsibility. It was such a cool moment of how he felt about his dad, and you know how he didn't like his dad, and he's saying to himself like, oh, you think I'm a monster? No, I think you're a monster for what you did to me. I was shocked that they got rid of that. When Cyborg in the first one, Diana was writing in the Batcave, and then Cyborg came on the screen and was like, said her name and everything. They went and had a little comment back and forth. And in the second one, they totally scrapped that, and she started typing, and then he just put an address. And I was like, oh wow, that's deep that they got rid of that, because the first, like, there were certain things that I thought and it's just.
What did you think about the Atlantis differences?
Hold on, bro. You keep saying it backwards. They didn't get rid of that. Snyder's cut is first, whatnot. So he just put his out and stuff like that.
Well,
Josh added those.
I guess to say it then, certain stuff I like better. I guess then that makes sense.
Yeah. You got to remember that Snyder is the original.
Yeah. Because he's coming out with a cut years later, and so it's hard. I keep like, oh yeah, you're right. This stuff now, but he did add stuff like the outfit.
Yeah, he added stuff.
Which was cool.
Like the Superman outfit at the end.
Well, no. He didn't add that. That was his original outfit or whatever. Josh changed the outfit. That's what I'm telling you. Like,
right.
I watched it. Oh, because I thought I seen the thing that said he added that to the outfit.
It's hard to keep in mind that he did 80% of the movie, and then Whedon took over, and then he came back and made his own vision again. It's kind of hard to.
He did still add stuff to He did add stuff like.
They added, even that scene with Martian Manhunter at the end with Batman. That's like newly shot. If you look at it, Affleck is a lot smaller in that scene than he is when he's playing Batman and stuff like that and whatnot. So. But and a couple other things that they came back and reshot. But I agree with you though. I like Josh's take on the monster scene better than Snyder's take on that. I agree with you on that.
Snyder did such a good job of showing what he wanted to do. I could watch a whole movie of just Batman in the desert talking shit to Joker. I could.
Did you? So for me, it's mind blowing. I love it. I might have to make a video and read all these things. But did you realize they actually changed? So when Superman died and they was going to drop the thing, in the original, they just needed electricity because to charge it. But in the Snyder cut, they needed him to rewind time. So as it touched, he rewind time, and then it made
There's a speed force.
Back. And then it was like people had different roles. It was like, oh, wow, why did they even change that?
It made sense.
For time. They changed it all for time because you had 4 hours, you had to get down to 2 hours.
No, hear me out. When the scene when the Flash was when they was on the ship and they dropped the thing.
I don't know about
that was the same time, and they changed what it was. So literally, he did the same thing. It just instead of him running and touching it to supercharge it, they had literally it was shot. Instead of him running and touching it, whole explanation. Well, you watched it. We all watched it.
Yeah, so it changed the context.
Like the same timing. It was nothing. Yeah. So I wonder, it was.
Because like that last battle, Flash's story is so much different, which I do appreciate that and whatnot. But that last battle was much longer in the Snyder cut than it is.
They got out the villagers, the little Russian family was gone altogether. So in the first one, they was gone all together.
Yeah. But the whole battle part is way longer and whatnot. It's probably like 15 minutes longer almost, something like that.
Man, my favorite part of that whole movie, I think, at least visually for myself, would be when that big giant nuclear silo starts falling over and Batman flips the Batmobile backwards and starts shooting all those
Right.
Oh yeah, that was dope.
Yeah.
Yep, those demons.
Yeah.
Josh, you've been kind of quiet, bro. Give us some of your thoughts on the whole
Josh
thing.
is loving it, man.
Well, for me, I kind of understand from a marketing point of view. We can get more into it on mental theater, but Chloe had a great point about how, and I agreed, and I saw it in real time as well. It kind of looked like a parallel to Infinity War and Endgame combined, and what they were trying to do, what they were trying to accomplish, which I thought was interesting because if you think about it, thank you, Chariot Man Gaming. I agree completely, right?
Josh,
but I do think it had to do.
My wife bought me this yesterday. I should. She said for your show. I don't know why I'm not wearing it.
Right. I do think this is miles better than Josh's version, right?
Yes.
And I think Warner's did themselves a disservice by not releasing this.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I mean, as Stadia Pro Gamer saying, as Miguel is saying, it gave you a direction of where to go next. Like it set up so many things. I'm just like, wait a minute.
Yes.
You guys want to be competitive with Marvel.
Yes.
And here you are with a golden ticket. This is the golden ticket to the Willy Wonka factory to be competitive with Marvel. And then you sweep it under
and you know what's crazy, Josh? This movie came out 2017.
That's what I'm saying.
And if you look at Marvel's year that year, they didn't have their greatest movies come out that year. I think the best movie was Ragnarok or whatever.
Exactly.
Like
so you would have had Endgame and Infinity War, or not Endgame. You would have had Endgame, essentially, that type of premise of what they're trying to do before they did it. And then it would be like, oh, okay.
Yeah, it's crazy to me when I get time's sake, right? But there was a bunch of stuff they could have, like for me, there was, and I'm sure we all watched it. There was a ton of things they could have took out. But some of those instrumental things, oh man,
I definitely, I think they should have kept in. Josh was a little bit too light. He had way more jokes, I feel like, the Snyder had and whatnot. So it was a little bit too light. I feel, listen, I watched it twice already, by the way. Snyder Cut. Like I've been, because it's like it's so good, and to be honest with you, it didn't feel like 4 hours. I want to say that too and whatnot. Like I get why they probably couldn't have brought it out in the theater because of the amount of showings you want to have and whatnot. But I think Josh is right. Infinity War, Endgame, this could have been Justice League Part 1, Justice League Part 2, and back-to-back years, and I think it would have been amazing.
I'm going to have an unpopular opinion. I think this movie is just as good as Endgame.
No.
I think the one before it still blows it out of the water for the way they left it at the end.
No.
But I think it's as good as Endgame.
No,
I would agree. I would actually agree with that completely.
Really? No.
I mean, again, really, Fat Thor. Come on.
Endgame was good. Endgame was good, but the one before it left you in a state that was special. Like,
let me tell you why it's not right. So for me, one of my favorite moments, I go back to Endgame, was the whole time heist type thing, right? That level of team getting together. Plus, you felt it was put together right. As I'm watching this, and maybe because I watched the original hours earlier, I feel like it was good, but I feel it like, okay, their level of like they got to get together was the very end when they had to plan it out. But their plan was just simply, we're going to fly, we're going to blow through the thing, we're going to get in. You're going to run around super fast. I'm going to get into it. That wasn't on the level of, all right, we're planning on going back to 19 whatever. You're going to go to 19 whatever. You're going to go to 2000.
Your perspective could be because of the way you watched it, though, Anthony.
Right.
Meaning that you watched the original and then you watched for the differences. Yeah. I watched the original, didn't like it a lot, and then I watched this one and thoroughly enjoyed myself.
I think it's amazing, and I think it's definitely the best DC EU movie. Not DC. It's not better than any of the Dark Knights, but it's DC EU, and Man of Steel is good or whatever. Honestly, so it's close to that. But Endgame is a culmination of 23 films in 10, 11 years or whatever like that. It's like Endgame had Easter eggs from 10 years before they brought back. Like it's just a different thing to me.
Well, yeah, I guess when I saw Endgame, it was after a Game of Thrones blunder, and then I had a bad taste in my mouth because how they did Thor and how as Tony Stark Jr. knows how they did Hulk, right? So I was just like, me personally, I would rate this one higher than Endgame, but not by much. So this is like 9.5.
Nah. I mean, personally, this is gonna get y'all, and I just gotta be honest. when I watched it, and I was telling my wife last night, I was like, to be honest with you, again, I didn't. A lot of people didn't like the first, the original cut.
I liked the first one
with it. Me personally, this is gonna be hard. If I had to keep both movies, I'll just keep the original. I feel like the new one had a bunch of music I didn't like. I was like, why did they add? I guess they was trying to get darker. Like the music they had when Thor stand on the thing and the water splash. I was like, what is this? Like for me, I felt like the original, and plus I didn't like the whole. I was about to say Thanos. I didn't like
Darkseid.
I wish Darkseid just wasn't in it. I wish he was just always waiting to come to Earth, and at the end it was him about to come to Earth. So for me, I feel like, you know what? There were some cool scenes. The cyborg stuff was a must-have, but you know what? It's too much for me to nitpick, and I don't like that. So with Endgame, I nitpick a lot about the Hope, right? But I don't have that much to nitpick. The Snyder cut, I could go on, and I got 65 things, man. I could go on about some stuff. I'm like, because I don't know when the last time you guys watched the original, but I watched it in the same day. So I watched
it within the last year, I would say. Yeah, I don't have a problem. I don't have a problem with the original. I never thought it was bad. I was like, yeah, it's not bad. Whatever to me. So
yeah. So I mean, it was good, but I feel like when we talk about Endgame, good, but
So what's your score, Anthony?
So if I had to choose both, I would have just kept the original because there was too many things that I didn't like in the new one, and it was
wait. The original, as in the Snyder cut, or
no?
Josh cut,
as in the one that came out in the movies first.
He would have kept the
original.
Yeah,
right,
I like
that's
the
true.
original.
You would have kept Josh's version.
Yeah.
Basically. Oh, gotcha. Endgame and Infinity War are cinematic masterpieces to me. Like, they're a little different or whatever. I can't even. But this, like I said, I watched it twice. Like this is so good. Not to say like I wasn't mad about the original. I was like, it was all right. But this is so good. And I also want to say like Zack Snyder should only direct Wonder Woman. No offense to Patty Jenkins, but what Zack does with Wonder Woman is amazing and stuff like that. Like in this movie, she barely used her lasso and she had her sword and her shield and she was fucking people up. Yeah. But in 1984, she wasn't doing shit and she had this fucking lasso the whole time. She never had her sword and shield.
Terrible, man.
So I think like Zack knows what to do with her. And I hate that it didn't go on because, to your point, Pro, like at the end, she got that the arrow. She was looking back at them mascara. She was supposed to go back there and take over as queen at some point. But Patty Jenkins wanted to make this fucking 1984 crap or whatever and mess the whole thing up or whatever. So I do think that by taking it's so crazy. By taking the one movie from him, it threw the whole universe off.
Yeah, I just don't think that they had enough faith in the vision or enough patience to watch it come to fruition. Yeah, I think they kept seeing what Marvel was doing and kept second guessing and kept pushing more cooks into that kitchen. Sadly,
you know what they probably felt? So we feel like this was similar to as epic as like an Endgame, but maybe they felt that they didn't slow cook it like Marvel did. So maybe they just felt like maybe people ain't gonna receive it as well,
And again, that's fair. But to be fair to Kevin Feige and the leadership at Marvel and Disney, that's what they do. Let them do what they do. What Marvel does great is what Zack Snyder just did. As Miguel brought up, this is what Christopher Nolan does. Let them be dark. Let them tell their gritty story their own way. Just let them be them.
Right.
The only thing I can say to these movie studios is if you see somebody's vision or you have a pitch and you sit down and shake hands on that vision. Yeah, I want to see that. Let them go do it. Like,
I agree.
Just let them go do it.
Because you saw Wonder Woman more. She's more dark here. That first scene when she had to kill those whatever they were, vigilantes or whatever the hell they were. Like, she was. Oh my god! Like I say, this is the Wonder Woman I went right.
Oh, by the way, I love the callback to the ancient warriors, right? And how they have like this warriors culture, and the fact that Wonder Woman instinctively knows exactly what message to send to Darkseid. Not only are we're going to send you back your warrior, we're going to send them back headless.
Yeah,
right.
That speaks volumes. That's the ancient warrior-ish. I love that.
Well, Josh, where you was going, dude, how they set up the scene. So from the first one, they catch the bank robbers, whatever. Bro, she do the whole boom, and you see the explosion, and my man hat dropped, so you know he ain't survived. I was like, I was like, oh, this is gonna be different. Yeah.
Just like in Atlantis when the dude starts killing people, there's blood in the water and stuff. I know it's not rated R.
That part too, Mira. Like, yo, I always want to see her do that because she can control water. When she started pulling all the liquids out of his body, I was like, yo, that was crazy. And whatnot. So
yeah,
I thought that was dope too. And but see what they did was because they kept going, they messed up her story. So in this movie, she said that her parents died and that Aquaman's mother kind of adopted her, but in Aquaman, her dad's alive, so they done messed up the whole thing already. So,
right.
That is true.
Yeah, it's like it's crazy. So, but I'm happy that even the other guy, Volko, who was the Aquaman, he had scenes. Like, there's so many Josh, you think the actors got paid who were cut out of the original, but then now they're putting their scenes on a new one, or like get to sign something or something like that?
Well, to be honest, a lot of this movie reminded me of Entourage, truth be told. So kind of like when the Anthony Anderson scene when he was talking with drama, but you got paid, right? The scene got cut, but you got paid because you get paid for your time, right? But did you see the callback to the pier scene when Vince is running out?
Yeah,
Aquaman essentially did the same thing, and then he went in the ocean. yeah.
Even those two dudes from Atlantis that they pulled out of the water and he beat up, they weren't in the first movie at all. So I'm like, I guess they got paid, whatever. But their scenes cut.
Well, it just seems to me that they actually use the characters in the proper way. Like, they got the formula like down, just like how the first Avengers got the formula down, you know, and everyone was so surprised it was such a hit. And so good. I wonder why I can just hope for more.
And again, I'm surprised why they didn't trust Zack Snyder, because people had such a great reception to his version of Superman. So I was just like,
but they didn't like. But remember, people didn't like BVS, Batman vs Superman, that much when it first came out as well. So that could have been as well.
I wonder, little small things is what's just curious to me, right? Like, because I was picking up again, I was writing it all down, right? Like, here's something small. So in the original, when they came into the Batcave, Cyborg said that Batman's ship, Cyborg made Batman's ship go faster so they could get there. So he was like, oh, the ship won't be able to make it that fast. But in the next one, Batman's ship just didn't work. So he said, software error, I could fix it. I'm like, that's just such a small thing. I wonder, like, who's making movies that say, you know what? In the
script changes is what it is.
But that's so small. Even that, I was like, wow, that's different. Like, it was so much little.
Just imagine that little thought you just had. Can you imagine six executives sitting in a room? No, he should be fixing the ship.
Right. No, he
should make it faster.
Absolutely. And to me, it all ties into the brilliant, character development of the Cyborg. So to me, that aspect fits.
Right. Him.
He was integral to the movie. You pulled him out and stuff didn't make sense. If I was Ray, I'd have been pissed.
Yeah, and I don't know why Josh added that whole tension between Bruce and Diana, where he's like, "What about Steve Trevor?" Like, I'm happy that this one didn't have that or whatever like that. That was not needed.
I think we know why they had that, because in the comic books, Diana and Batman, you know know why.
But I just feel like it didn't have it in Snyder cut, so I feel like it wasn't necessarily needed at all. But I will say what should have been cut: Diana making tea with Alfred. That was a waste of time.
Oh, that was weird. That was weird, man.
Yeah, it was
that was weird. Like, he ain't even drinking the tea.
Everything in there,
Are you making it for you? What do you? I don't.
Right.
I know he's all proper and he's trying to teach her how to make a proper cup of tea, but I don't know. It was.
I think that was the transition of Alfred that we're seeing, because in different genres, we see Alfred the mercenary, we see Alfred the butler. So I think this is the transition from like the more of the mercenary, more to the butler Alfred. That's just how I saw it.
What about the whole scene where Cyborg buries the thing in the grave?
That was to me, that was dumb as hell, because he essentially framed his father. Like, what are you doing, bro?
It was like, wait, you took the thing, because in the original he just had it in his room and took it. But in this one, he went to the grave, buried it, and then they had a whole long scene with when they dug up Superman's body. On this one, it was like, man, they was all standing at the grave talking. They had the van pull up in the back with Aquaman and Wonder Woman. That never happened in the original. I was like, oh,
I thought that was. I think they wanted her. I think that Zach wanted her to acknowledge the battle between the Atlanteans and the Amazons. And they had a war before and stuff like that, where like Josh just took it out all together and stuff like that. It wasn't really needed though. I agree.
Yeah, not at all. Yeah.
And even that scene we were talking about with the burying of the box, it had to bury the box at all, stuff like that.
Well, okay. To be fair, Miguel, I understand why you're saying that, but
yeah,
me personally, I do think it's needed because that callback scene with Darkseid and the original Defenders of Earth, it reminded me of Lord of the Rings completely, and we know Lord of the Rings is Warner's, right? So it reminded me how you had the old ancient warriors coming together to defeat, Sauron and whatnot. So I think it is important because essentially Aquaman and Wonder Woman is, Legolas and Gimli. They have that interaction.
But Anthony, you need to understand too, man, that in the beginning when it shows Darkseid getting lost, that is the equivalent of the battle at the end of Endgame and the one before it together. I mean, you had some major heavy hitters fighting Darkseid, and it took all of them. I mean, so now without those, now without them, with the world without those characters, it's up to these guys. I get where they were going. It was, the next time, what's the world going to do? Because we don't have Zeus. We don't have Ares. We don't have all the Amazons anymore. We don't, it'll be interesting. And luckily, you can't get the world of men to agree on
luckily,
anything.
We have that Kryptonian fellow.
Yeah, right? Yeah. And the way that Steppenwolf's axe stopped right before hitting Superman when he was saving Cyborg at the end.
So OP.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
Well, you can see why he was sidelined for the whole movie, because he would have just flew in and started whooping.
It's kind of like how they didn't have Hulk and Thor and Civil War, because they knew like that would just change everything or whatever. That.
Well, I think initially when they did it, it's a business at the end of the day. He has some contractual stuff to do. There was the Mission Impossible.
It was, yeah.
So that's why he wasn't in the movie that much. And then Joss Whedon brought him back to do the ridiculous reshoots with the mustache.
That made no sense.
Yeah, and that was a contract too, which is crazy. You see how he was on contract, but you cannot cut your mustache. That's why he couldn't cut it off or whatever like that. Which is again Hollywood contracts. It's got crazy stuff in there. But yeah, no, I thought that I think Anthony's right. They did have some stuff that didn't need it to be there. Yeah. But like the whole thing with Flash Iris West, I'm like, why is he fondling her face? He must be saving her life right now.
Yeah, it wasn't necessary. It wasn't necessary, but it lets you breathe with that character a little more to get to know him just a little more.
And it also apparently is supposed to set up the future Flash solo film. So that's why that was in there. That's his MJ, right? That's his Mary Jane.
Yeah, he married her. Yeah. That's still happening though. The Flash
before I got to go, guys, and I do real quick, but my wife watched it, and the future Flash, in the decrepit world where it's all, she goes, "That's a different actor." I said, "No, I think he's got a mustache." She goes, "No, it's a different actor." So what do you guys think? Was that a different Flash?
It looked like a different Flash to me.
I thought it was a different guy.
I thought it could have been from Flashpoint. Like, that's just the Flash you ended up with because of all the crazy shit that happened that we didn't get to see yet. I don't know. It's interesting, though. But I want to see them complete this into that dark world that they have to save from Superman. I don't know. I just like to see that come to fruition.
I think they could one-up Marvel a little bit because Marvel hasn't really done that, where one of the main people become like the main bad guy. That's why I was saying if they could do a World War Hulk, and that's why I'm super excited for this Marvel Avengers game right now, the DLC, because you get the Maestro, the Incredible Hulk in the future, who's bad, who took over the world. So DC, man, if they could let Superman be the bad guy and have a couple movies, oh man.
To me, that's their only chess move now, because we've already seen everything else. Number one, but again, number two, this is what DC does best: the dark side. Let them be dark, let them be bad, let them be gritty. Make it rated R or PG-13, whatever, NC-17, whatever, and just
get close.
Well, let me ask you guys a question though, and Josh, this is a good one for you too. If they decide to keep the Snyderverse going, you're gonna have two Batmans at the same time. How do you think that would be and stuff like that?
Well, technically, we already have two. We already have two Jokers,
right?
So again, it's because they already corporately did it already. So we have DC Dark versus regular DC. So technically, some of that genre would be DC Dark. The other stuff would be just DC. Now, to your point, Miguel, I don't know if Robert Pattinson is going to be DC or DC Dark. I don't know yet.
Yeah, me either. What about you, Tony? You think it'll be overkill if you got two Batmans, two Supermans, like all these different movies, stuff like that?
Yeah, I mean, I don't want it to be too many, but if you do one shots, but it will be weird to have two series or two trilogies like at the same time. That'd be kind of weird. But if you got like the Joker was like perfect. You had the Joker with one shot. People like, will they do another one? Will they not? We don't know. But that was like perfect. But if you do like, hey, we're gonna have a trilogy and another trilogy around the same time, that's gonna be really weird. But hey, listen, maybe it just be weird because it's something we never experienced before. But
it's all about how you explain it. I think.
Yeah,
maybe. If it's easily understood, like the multiverse, or how the Flash on the CW's got alternate Earths and stuff. If you could explain it like that, well, shit, the sky's the limit. You could do almost anything.
Well, at the end in the dark area, somebody said the multiverse. Like
they did. Yes.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I think eventually Snyder was going to do something with the multiverse or with the Flashpoint. Anyway, something was gonna rest heavy on the Flash movie. And I think I think we would have seen him like first person reaching out to Batman while he was dreaming. Like, I don't think that was a dream. That was some kind of I don't know. Through the Speed Force, he was able to reach out.
I only fear that it can confuse the moviegoers or whatever.
Right.
You know what I mean? About which universe, which Batman is the real Batman or whatever, stuff like that. Because they do get like, well, I thought this was Flash. I thought this was like sometimes, especially like comic book minds, the untrained comic book minds.
Yeah,
they get a little confused when you have too much going on at the same time. And they already got Robert Pattinson coming out. Then they talk about a Black Superman coming out, so too. So it's like, it's like a lot.
So they did the Black Superman. It was called Hancock.
That was a good movie too.
But I will say Henry Cavill is Superman to me. Like, he's the best ever did. He should always be Superman, and that's it. Like, honestly, like, he is Superman to me. So.
And shout out to season 2 of The Witcher. I was very surprised because Chloe couldn't tell that was Geralt.
Season 2
of The Witcher.
When did they come out?
No, I'm just saying shout out to the.
Oh, okay. I was about to say what?
He said, I gotta go watch that now.
I was like, hold on, wait, what did you just say?
Right. I was like, what? Yeah, she couldn't tell, Chloe? That's crazy.
That's what I said. I was like, all the changes was the hair. That was it.
Right.
And the eyes.
I mean, come on.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. So what's your, before you leave Stadia Pro? What was your final grade on the Snyder Cut?
Well, I think on the original, I would give it a 7, and this one, I enjoyed it quite a bit more, man. I give it a 9. But whenever you add 2 extra hours into a movie, I mean, usually it gets better. So.
Yeah.
I definitely could see that. Okay, on that. Well, what about you, Josh? Let's go around then, since we're doing it. So.
Yeah, the not the original one, but the Josh cut, right? I would give that a 7.5, 8, but this one I would give 9.5.
Wow. Okay, you went all the way up or whatever. Tony?
Yeah, it surprised me a lot. I was like, wow, they should have done
it was
this.
amazing.
The entire time I was thinking they should have done this.
Yeah.
This is hard, man. It's so much good. Like, just the outfit of Steppenwolf was just awesome. They even had sound to it when the pieces would move. I was like, wow, that was clever. I didn't make a big deal because nobody mentions this at all, but Superman having a black suit, it was like, okay, whatever. Wasn't that a big deal to me. But and again, I'm critiquing it from watching it back to back almost. I almost want to say I like some of the I like the one that came out first, because it was simplistic. It did what it had to do. I didn't have any gripes. And watching it again, I was amped up. I liked a lot of the music a lot more in it. It was more like heroic. Some of the dark tones they did in the Snyder cut, I was just like, why did they put that there? But I think the Snyder cut gave me so much extra. I like gritty. Oh man, he killed some horses in the beginning. They took out the whole thing where the tomb that the Amazons was in crushed and fell into the ocean.
Like Atlantis, right? Screams of Atlantis.
I was like, whoa. So I'm gonna give them both an 8.
Okay, that's solid. That's solid. I'm not as nice as everybody else, or whatever like that. So I would go probably 6.5. No, not for this one. For Josh's cut, I would say 6.5. So,
and by the way, this isn't Josh Josh, it's Joss.
Oh yeah, Josh. I'm sorry. They call it the Justice League. You're right, or whatever like that. And then I would go with this one. I would say 8, like Tony said, and whatnot. Like it was amazing, man. Not 8.5. I would say 8.5, but it could have missed some stuff that was cut. But I still think it was just so good. I'm just a little sad, kind of like Pro, that. Kind of like, are they going to keep it going? Because it does make you want more. It's a shame you're watching a movie that's setting up for movies that might not come out. That's horrible.
Thank God they let him have another bite at the apple. But give us some more apple.
Here's the cool thing. As we know in our culture now, fans cry and get their way, right? Let's bring up Sonic. Let's bring up Sonic the Hedgehog. So we might just get it. If enough people with so many videos.
Hey, Tony Stark Jr., I think you're right on the money, because similar to how, Marvel and DC have their extra bits on Disney Plus, Zack Snyder has his bits on HBO Max, like, what to watch next after this. This is my playlist of wonderful, let's say, things to watch on this platform. Perhaps you might see some more things on this platform for me. You never know.
One more question before I go. What do you think changed to get Zack Snyder the power or whatever?
The fans.
It was all the fans.
Yep, the fans. The constant release of Snyder Cut. Well, that and HBO Max coming out.
Yeah, right. Well, that's what I was getting at. Do you think it was the structural change, or it was just the fans? Because
it was both.
I thank them because this was wonderful. I do think it's because of the platform as well. That's why I think it was 4 hours and why they didn't cut it down, because you guys have nothing else better to do, right? And we need content on our platform. And before Stadia Pro Gaming closed, and it was a pleasure connecting with all of you guys once again. I think we should get all of our ladies who are fans of this genre on for a episode of Mental Theater in the future. I think that would be fantastic.
Sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that would definitely be cool. Yeah, but that's what I think. It was definitely the fans of HBO Max. I don't think if there was HBO Max, they would put it back out there. So I'm happy that we were able to get that. Even at home, I think now this would have been epic to see on a huge screen though as well.
Yeah.
If they do
IMAX
release the Snyderverse, I hope it's not HBO Max only either and whatnot.
Right. Like they could have added 30 minutes to the beginning and 30 minutes to the end and broke it in half. And had a big Darkseid ending at the end too, and it could have been 2 movies.
Exactly.
It could have been
easily 2 movies.
It should have been 2 movies. I feel like that would have been.
Let me ask you this, real quick. So, but we all agree, right? Like, if you're making a movie, there's usually stuff that get cut out. Mike said that he just said we're gonna put it all in. If he had a chance to remake this movie with what he had, I'm pretty sure it wouldn't be 4 hours. Like, it could have been like a 3-hour movie.
Well, technically, I think because we talked about it like a year ago on Mental Theater. Apparently, he spent $20 million and did a lot of editing to get it to this point. So
70.
Oh, excuse me, 70. Thank you. It started out as 20, then it grew to 70.
Yeah.
Well, when you look at all those scenes, even if it's a subtle change, if it has to do with CGI, all that's redone, and that's a lot of money. So,
exactly.
But I just thank Warner Brothers, and I thank HBO Max for allowing him to do it and to give us fans his vision, because I benefited from it and I enjoyed it greatly, and I think all of you will too. So definitely give it another look if you've seen it and wasn't a fan. You give the Snyder Cut a chance.
Absolutely.
And I will say this: I don't know if you guys care to, man. Watch the original. Like, you know. See,
I'm sorry. One last question. Absolutely, that's a great point, Sonny Stark Jr. One last question, everyone here. When you saw they broke it up into parts, so 6 different parts. Did anyone think about, like, imagine if they made us like a series that they released on HBO Max a week after a week, and what would that look like?
Should have did it. That would have been that. I probably would have liked.
That's what it was supposed to be. It was supposed to be released as 6 different episodes, but it changed to one movie. I think it was for like contractual reference because the actors were paid for a movie. So they couldn't make it a series now.
And the 4 hours was kind of set up like a book too. Like Superman comes back from the dead and all the action stops. Let's go see what he's doing with his mom and her. And it just let things breathe. I don't know. I really enjoyed it, guys. Like a lot.
Yeah. You see what Chris B said?
They did, but they had Zeus throwing Hadoukens.
Absolutely.
Whatnot. I was like, is that Lord Raiden or Zeus or whatever? He was throwing that.
No, I think that
with
was
the CGI abs.
That was Ares.
Right.
Yeah,
no, it was Zeus with the Hadouken. Ares had the axe or whatever.
Yeah.
I thought Ares was doing like electricity.
No, that was Zeus and whatnot. With the CGI abs and the mustache and whatnot. Ares, but you know, it was the same Ares though from Wonder Woman movie as well.
That's Lupin from Harry Potter. Absolutely.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, that was pretty cool. And Josh, you know what I would have wanted to see, because you know at the end when they go to see Luthor, they set up the dark. Who is it? What's his name? The villain from Batman.
The Batman guy.
Deathstroke.
Yes.
Yeah, that was supposed to be the Ben Affleck movie, Deathstroke as the villain versus Batman. I would love to see that actually as a whole movie.
Absolutely. I want to see Deathstroke as an old man wandering around the desert with Batman and the Joker.
Exactly, because you know, at some point he has to double cross Batman if he's there at the future.
Yep.
So I have to see it, right?
Yeah, no doubt, man.
Seems like Chris B was a little critical on Darkseid getting chipped too.
He got chipped. To be fair, Tony, he looked like a bit of a coward, sending a boy to do a man's job, basically. Because Thanos would never do that.
No. That's why I said he should have just not been in.
I mean, you know what? I'm sorry. Were you cutting it off or?
No, go ahead. Well, I know Pro got to leave. I figure if we're just beating it up at this point, but go ahead.
Well, we have more stuff to talk about too, what we can do with Josh. But anyway, I think not the movie. We had other stuff on the agenda or whatever. But I was going to say that that I think he needed to be in it because he affected Steppenwolf's motivation. And in Josh's version, he was just like, Mother, I can't wait to see you, mother. It was like some crap. I don't know what he was talking about. But now it's like he's trying to get back in the good graces of Darkseid because of whatever he did. He's not allowed to go home until he does something like this. So I feel like Steppenwolf's motivation, I felt more in this movie than I did in the Whedon version.
And that's fair. And I was confused by Darkseid's confusion. He was like, oh, I need to find the equation. How you not, and to Chris B's point, who's been great in the comments, by the way, how you not remember you got chipped on Earth?
Right.
Your biggest butt woman was on Earth. How you forget that?
You're right. Steppenwolf was like, we found out the anti-space or the anti-life was on Earth. I'm thinking like, bro, you was on Earth and got beat the hell up. What are you talking about?
Yeah, and now Steppenwolf has to go conquer 50,000 more planets as punishment. Man, get out of here! You corny as hell.
Yeah, that's a lot. I ain't going home.
That was a long contract, you know.
Yeah, I think I do agree with that, Chris. It definitely wasn't bad for his first match. But again, I don't know if you were here earlier. We talked about, but who he was fighting, though, bro. It wasn't like it was like just the six guys in the Justice League. It was fucking the gods. Yeah. It was the Amazon. It was the Atlanteans. It was the best of men. It was like, and it was so many of them. Like, the Atlanteans had like 9. It looked like the damn Theon Greyjoy ships. It was like so many ships of fucking Atlanteans. It was ridiculous and whatnot. So,
and now when he comes back,
actually fighting them at the time he was fighting, I just felt like he could have had a little more fight. Yes,
when he comes back to Earth, they got 5 people protecting it now.
Right, only 5 of them versus like 10,000 of them, whatever. Like that.
Right. Yeah.
Big difference and whatnot. And of the best fighters they had on Earth and whatnot. So it's a big difference. I felt like so, and I think that was Aquaman's dad with the Atlanteans too, or whatever.
Yeah,
was.
I think it was.
It definitely was.
with his trident.
And and think about the alien race of Darkseid and how he's able to prolong time and just be there the entire time, and everyone else has died or disintegrated or whatever.
Yeah. Oh, one thing we left out. How cool was it that the way Aquaman got the trident? In the first one, he just I know what I got to do. Came back with the armor and the trident. It was like, okay, cool. Where the hell you get that from? But they actually showed him what's his name? The Void gave it to him. Yeah, I was like,
Falcon. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, that was pretty cool. You know what's crazy though? Again, like they I don't know what the hell happened, but in this movie, Zack Snyder, Mira had a accent, and Aquaman, she has no accent. I'm like, what the hell is going on? It's like a lot of little things that they've changed in future movies beyond this. That's what I'm saying. I want to relate to Snyderverse, of course, but it's like hard to retcon because you change so much up after.
Just imagine how hard it would be to dig through 18 hours of footage where people did multiple takes with different accents or different, points of view for the scene. I don't know, man. It'd be kind of hard.
Yeah.
Hey, but that's why you have research assistants. That's what they get paid for.
Yeah, that's
absolutely.
Because we would all do it for free and they getting paid to do it. So
right. That's so true.
Yeah, that's true. But if you gotta go,
you drink it out of, man. You got a Thor cup?
Oh yeah. To those who are worthy, will be able to.
I was looking how big. Now I was just being funny, but obviously you pick it up like, man, that thing's a little big. It's like something Thor be drinking out, and it is a Thor thing.
It is, and it once liquid is in it, it is quite heavy. But Stadia Pro Gaming, appreciate you coming on, sir, and it was great connecting with you. And I'm sure Tony Stark Jr. and Big Mike love having you on the platform at a great value, and I can't wait to see you back on as the referee.
Hey, man, I appreciate you, and I appreciate you guys having me on, man. It was a lot of fun. I'm a huge movie buff. I'm a huge nerd. If we were talking Star Wars, that we don't have enough time, man. We got another 4 hours we got to go on Star Wars.
They are too.
Look, do you see my background right now?
Yeah. Oh yeah. So if you ever have a Star Wars show on, man, I'll at least be in the chat, like spamming that shit.
And probably when Game of Thrones comes back, probably gonna have a little bit of that as well.
Right on. Like me some Thrones too. Just a giant nerd, man. And I appreciate all you guys, and I love you guys. Thanks for having me on, but I have to jet.
Go ahead, man. Get out of here. See you later, man.
Peace.
That's my guy, man.
Yeah, he's a good guy, man. Definitely gotta have him on again. We do stuff like this, man, any time and whatnot. But we did kind of beat this up to death about the Snyder Cut. I didn't. Again, I thought it was amazing, and I'm happy that we got a chance to have it. But we had a couple more questions, Josh, and one was about at this point it's March 21st, and Black Widow's supposed to come out May 7th, and Disney still has not made a decision yet. So do you think that they should just do like a simultaneous, like HBO Max does with the theater and Disney Plus, or just still try to wait for theaters only?
I think Disney needs to do what Disney does, right? So whatever decision they make, I will trust their judgment. Similar to HBO Max, they're going gung-ho with the simultaneous release. That I think that's going to be their angle. Right. That's going to be their competitive advantage. However, Disney and Marvel have Disney Plus, which is a wonderful platform, which already has immense value and 70, 80 million subscribers already.
107 now.
I think 107.
The only problem with that, Josh, is they're charging people extra to see the movie. So that's the difference.
Wait,
HBO is included. Marvel, Disney. Yeah, because even
they charge
for
Mulan, right?
Yeah, Mulan and the Rain, that dragon thing that just
and Riot and a new one, Riot and Last Dragon.
Yeah, that's not free. Yeah, because I was like, oh, I keep seeing that everywhere. So we seen it at the movies. We didn't go see it, but we was walking. It was like, oh look, so that is playing at the movies and on Disney. So Sandy was like, oh, let's watch something. She clicked on. I was like, oh, it ain't free.
Wow. So that's like paying for PlayStation Plus, but still have to pay for downloadable content. That's interesting.
Yeah.
So what you think, Tony? Should they? I mean, because they get to a point of no return, as Josh would know at this point. With it coming out and like what it's supposed to come out. Yo, think about this. May 7th is like 6 weeks. Let's get Black Widow coming out.
Wow.
So like,
well, again, because you brought it up earlier on Mental Theater, Miguel, the fact that the vaccines are mostly being administered and a lot of people are signing up, they may. I think they'll try it in theaters. To be honest,
they might. Think about it. WrestleMania is coming back. They will have fans, you know.
All the fans, or like half?
You know, it's going to be limited, but they're bringing fans back. So let me answer the question. I'm kind of like Josh. I trust they'll make the right decision. But on my selfish side, you know me, I'm going to the movies to see it if it's in the movie. But as a business side, they have to make money, right? So the question is, can they make a good? I know they won't make what they would have pre-pandemic. But can they make enough money they're comfortable with if it's only released in theaters? That's the question.
Exactly.
And that probably the answer is no right now.
Right. So, it's no right now. Yeah, I agree. 6 weeks from now, it still won't be enough theaters open to full capacity. It won't be open to full capacity. It's going to be still partial capacity to make enough money. Not to mention, we talked about it last week, I think, Tony, another week, that people have to get used to going again. They're going to be kind of timid at first and whatnot. So I feel like they're going to have to push it back or just cave and say we'll do the simultaneous Disney Plus and theaters and just go from there and whatnot.
Right. And I mean, because did Disney create a agreement with the theaters similar to HBO and other studios?
Well, like the shorter window, the actual window, I think.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I don't think they have. They haven't had a movie come to theaters or whatever. So
right. So they might be trying to build up Disney Plus. I don't know, because it's a wonderful question, Miguel, because it to me, Disney does things the right way, but they also do things the right way on the business end as well. So to me, I'm just curious to see what they do, because I think that will be the right decision for them.
Yeah, I'm very curious because, with that budget, which is always the problem or whatever, that, I don't know. Feige is like, I want my movie seen in theaters kind of deal, whatever like that. So I think that's also the problem with it. But again, go ahead, Tony.
No, I was going to say, I think if they want to capitalize on money, release it in a theater, release it on Disney Plus for $30. Like, some people are going to pay $30 to see Black Widow. Like, I'm just saying.
Yeah. So I actually would if I wasn't. Let's say if it was no theater, I would pay $30 to Black Widow because they're gonna.
Me too. Yeah. I'm not gonna lie. Because there's certain states that they don't have their movie theaters aren't open. So yeah, look, New York theaters just opened, right? Right. So it's easy for me. I could go to AMC, but if I had no theater, I'm paying $30. Easy.
Yeah, I would too.
I'm also curious about the Easter eggs that they're going to have in there, because again, Marvel is very well thought out. Kevin Feige and the leadership. So I'm curious what Easter eggs are going to be in Black Widow that's going to add some value and some knowledge and some wisdom to WandaVision and Falcon and Winter Soldier, because these were all supposed to be related when they released.
Right. Correct. They're all supposed to come out last year. So it's like, again, you can't keep, I guess you can, whatever, but you can't keep pushing it back, because now you're releasing your shows which connect to it. So you're kind of like throwing things off a little bit. So I don't know what they're going to do and whatnot. And the other thing I had, since we were talking about streaming services and stuff like that, is that, now they just released Paramount Plus. You got Peacock. You still got more coming this year. So, like, at this point, like, is it the thoughts on like streaming services becoming more costly than cable? Like, what do you think is going to happen with that, Josh?
Absolutely. Because I'll be completely transparent. Chloe and I do not have any cable. We only have subscription services. So Paramount Plus also works for me as a big football soccer fan. Right? They have a lot of live soccer on there as well. And to me, it's the way of the future, because I feel like our generation, even including Tony Stark Jr. in there, sees the wisdom in that, because we're seeing more of what we actually want to see. Because when you get cable, you get a whole bunch of bundle stuff that you don't even want to pay for, right? It just comes bundled in. But with subscription services, you get to pay exactly for what you want, and I think that is the way of the future, to be honest.
Yeah, honestly, even video games right now, Xbox is ripping it up. Like their subscription models, what they're doing is they're just buying studios and saying now those games you loved are on Xbox Game Pass, and it's crazy. They're doing stuff like there's a brand new game called Outriders that's coming out April 1st. Whatever deal with the devil they made, but that's coming out on Game Pass. Like, wait, what? So people who have like it's crazy, but subscriptions is taking over. Me personally, I'm screwed. I got a new I got a new cable box last summer, and it was a 2-year contract I did, right? So I did a 2-year contract, and then I was like, yo, we don't, and I called them up and say, hey, I want to get the lowest package of cable because we don't really, like Josh said, we watch wrestling. Now I got Dish Network. They don't have Fox no more. So I'm watching half of wrestling. I can't even watch on my, like, what am I even paying $100 for, right?
Right.
I could, and look at Josh, you know what happened with the WWE Network?
It's on Peacock, right?
Consolidated into the Peacock network.
Oh, nice. And see, that's amazing because we have Comcast Internet, Xfinity, right? But we get the Peacock for free. We get Peacock Premium for free. So we don't even have to pay for cable because it just comes with it. So I think that is going to be the wave of the future.
Because the WWE Network, they sent me an email and said, starting this month, you will no longer be billed for WWE Network because it's ending. So you will have to get the Peacock Network. So I'm like, because it's included in the Peacock Network.
Now, do the shows come on there? Like Raw and SmackDown? Do they come on at WWE Network?
No, so Raw and SmackDown come on, but they release it a month later. So if they did it the same day, go on. But they don't.
Yeah.
Because they got contracts with Fox. It was a big day. They spent a lot of money. I'm trying to think. I think it was like $1 billion Fox paid to get SmackDown on Fox for like so many years. Yeah.
Gotcha. So, okay. But I guess my question more was, Josh, and this is, I mean, you can talk about the future, right? So initially, having the streaming services was supposed to replace cable would be cheaper. But if more and more come out and they're just as much as cable, I think people will get upset about it, or what do they just say this is just a new wave or whatever we're doing right now?
I think it'll be the new wave because, again, people will be able to pick and choose what they want. Because I know not everyone watches Showtime, not everyone watches Stars, right? Some people might just watch Stars for power, things like that. Yeah. And so for me, I feel like you get to essentially cultivate what you actually want to see. So for those who are interested in seeing all that type of content, you'll be able to be like, okay, I want this. I want this. I don't really want this. I'll be interested for a free trial for this at a lower rate because there are tons of those deals going on as well.
And just look at me at HBO. I don't have HBO, but when
the new Game of Thrones.
Yeah, I got it just so I could watch True Blood. True Blood ended, cool. I got it just so I could watch Game of Thrones and end it. So Josh has a great point because yes, there's so many services, but this isn't like back in the day where it was like Happy Days came on and Three's coming. Like we don't really watch. I'm going a little bit back, but we don't really watch so many. I don't watch so many channels. So I feel like you might just be like, I'll get the Peacock because my favorite show is there, and maybe you might pick and choose like for us, right? We're watching American Horror Stories years later, but when it comes on Netflix, it says FX. I'm like, oh, so it originally came on FX. Well, I don't watch this super late. I could wait till it go back on. Like Josh has a great point, just to pick and choose. Because Mike, when you say it, it's like, man, they got so many services. It might be more than cable, but nobody's gonna get them all because they're gonna have some. Like for me, I don't get Hulu. I don't So there's gonna be certain things where you just won't get. Because you probably don't even watch anything that's on it.
And to your original point, Miguel, I think if you look at Disney Plus as a whole, once they actually get more content on it, some people might be just satisfied with just Disney Plus. And once they get low key and all these other things, they're gonna be like, hey, I'm good.
Yeah, see, I kind of don't agree with you guys. I mean, I agree with you, Josh, from a standpoint of the a la carte. So you can kind of pick and choose what you want and then mix and match. But what happens is that it's a good thing. We're getting so much great content. Like if you can pick out each streaming service and there's a show that's like super popular. in the top 10 of all the shows. So pretty much a lot of people have every one because each one might have just one show they like. So
yeah,
like,
but to be fair though, I think there's a lot of popular shows, but they're popular because the general consensus. Let me find one person who watched all of those shows. That's usually not the thing. Usually it's like Mike might be like, yo, this is my show, but I don't watch it. Josh might be like, this is my show, but me and Mike don't watch it. So I think Josh is right. Josh might be like, well, this is my show, so I'm getting this. You might be like, bro, I don't watch that show. Like, perfect example. Mike, you said this to me. You said, oh, did you get HBO Max? I said, my Sandy's brother let us use his code, and we let him use our Netflix. You said,
hold up. Allegedly. Netflix is cracking down. Allegedly.
Thank you. So Mike said they're gonna be cracking down. I said, I don't care. I mean, I pay for Netflix. So I mean, you know, I still haven't watched anything. Well, I watched the Snyder Cut, but that was it. So I think Josh is right. I think there might be some super TV buffs that watch every popular show, but I'm willing to bet that there's not that many people that's watching all of these shows and they have to have them all. You know, and
to be fair to your point, Miguel, I've been, you know, we've been exploring HBO Max. So obviously we watched Watchmen. We told you guys about Lovecraft Country, and now we kind of got into Titans that I didn't even know about Titans, right? And Titans is great. It's gritty, it's dark, and it's like,
listen, wow. Mr. Ermerol said he feels Titans is better than Falcon and WandaVision.
That I can understand that. Titans is really powerful.
Yeah. And that's what HBO.
Huh?
That's why Titans is on HBO.
HBO Max.
Yeah, it was on the DC streaming service. Before they got rid of that and went to HBO Max. I didn't even know I could watch it. I definitely hear your point, Anthony. I do think that's definitely valid, but I think as time goes along, these streaming services are not going to just sit back and relax. So they're all going to have something great to where, like, this is the show that everybody's watching and blah, blah, blah. I think at one point they all have at least one that everybody wants to see and whatnot.
No, I don't even, it's not even like that now. I mean, I don't think
that's why I said not now, but I said eventually because they're just coming out and stuff.
And I mean, in history, as long as we've been watching television, like look at Breaking Bad came out. Like, how many people didn't watch it? How many people did watch it? There's niche. I don't think every single service is gonna make a show that everybody wants to see. That's not gonna happen. There's always gonna be people like, and there's people that's watch other stuff and don't have time to watch new stuff. Like Titans, I just found out I can watch it, but I'm still watching American Horror Story. Then after that, I might do Lovecraft. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like every station isn't going to have something that's so good that everyone has to have. That's just not going to happen.
I don't know. I don't agree. And I don't mean everyone like everyone, but I mean, if it's about the numbers, right? So if they're all getting 20 million viewership, that means the majority, everybody's watching all these shows and whatnot or whatever. So I'm just being like, it's enough to where like, you know, I feel like that people will have, and there's that cancellation factor. Certain things they make it a lot harder to cancel stuff, and then you're like, I don't feel like doing this canceling stuff or whatever like that. So you wind up with 6, 7, 8 different streaming services.
Yeah, but not for nothing. I think nowadays the canceling stuff is becoming easier. Cable do that, but like, look at HBO. HBO was nothing. Like, you know, even the movie theater, you just had to keep it for 3 months. Like nowadays, it's the whole prepaid thing is a bigger deal now. If people are like the WWE Network, it's a monthly thing. Nowadays, it's even easier than ever to cancel something.
I don't mean like get out of the contract. I mean to actually go cancel it. Try to cancel something that you got through Amazon Prime. It's like a nightmare. It's like it's a huge process or whatever like that. You can't do it.
You mean something you bought?
No, like Amazon Prime Video, right? Because you can add channels on Prime Video. So if you add Stars or HBO or Paramount Plus or whatever like that, you got to go back in through Prime Video on the website, not even on the app or whatever like that, to cancel it. It's like several steps. That's what I mean by that. People don't feel like going through these steps. So you just wind up keeping stuff or whatever all the time and whatnot. So that's what I mean. It's not like it's 1, 2, 3, whatever. So and whatnot. But I guess I do see your point. I just feel like that. But I feel like Josh's point is the best. I feel like that even if it does get to as much as cable, I feel like just having to be able to have that watch what I want when I want to, people will be okay with it. Stuff like that.
And Miguel, to your original point on mental theater, do you think that they're going to continue kind of like how HBO Max did with The Sopranos, right? And be like, okay, you can actually stream, you can binge watch this entire series for free, and then try to entice you to become a subscriber.
For free?
Well, kind of like how they did with The Sopranos initially during the pandemic.
Oh, yeah. I always think it'll be a deal or something like you said earlier, a deal, a series, a 6 months off or whatever like that. And that's the problem too. Like you get mad because, like, say for example, I got Hulu or whatever now, but you look like Hulu $3 a month for the next 6 months. Like, damn, I'm paying $10 right now. Like it's always a deal coming out and stuff like that. But so yeah, I agree with you on that. There'll be a series or a show or a free trial and stuff like that. But I think this is what's Josh. You are on point. This is the way for the future. And these channels are just going to say we're going to put out greater and greater and greater content and stuff like that. So we're like, we want everybody to watch our channel to build up our subscriptions and whatnot. But I think people initially will care because they're talking about it now. Like if you look at different channels, that's why I made a topic about like, wow, there's more and more services come out. We're paying with cable and stuff like that. But I feel like that they won't care later on because they're getting the content and they can still do it a la carte, stuff like that.
And you know what's funny too, Mike? It's like, oh man, there's so much more services. Like, bro, how much time do you have? Like, I guess the people with no jobs might be really, really bummed out about it's so much content and their bill's gonna be so high. But I don't have enough time to watch that many shows. So I would see, like, if a new show came out on a different thing, like Debris, right? Debris looked pretty cool. Every time we see the trailer for it, me and Sandy's like, oh, we should check that out. Like, I mean, we're still watching American Horror Story. We want to watch the Superman thing. We want to watch this. So some stuff is like, maybe I will watch so much of this channel and cancel it and then get that down the road. And sometimes you forget about shows, and then next thing you know, you're like American Me with American Horror Story. I'm watching how many seasons that's like 8 years old already. You know what I'm saying? I feel like it's not enough time to watch all that stuff. So why would I even spend my money on like 5 different networks? And I don't even got enough time to watch everything on 3 networks. Like, I feel like I hear you, but I feel like it makes sense, but then it don't make sense for that person who's gonna be like, man, I gotta buy all of them. Like, can you really watch everything? Like, I don't know.
And then Miguel, I have a question for you because you were able to take advantage of that Verizon, Hulu, Disney Plus bundle. Is that coming towards the end of it? And like, are you going to continue the subscription?
Yeah. It already expired, and I'm still yeah, it was a year. I had it for a year and whatnot for free. Wow. And which was great and whatnot, but I of course I kept Disney Plus after that. So that was one I added. But think about that, right? So Disney Plus, after that year it expired. So I added that, which was October, November, for whatever, $7 or whatever, $8 or whatever. But then HBO Max came out with this new deal. So I added that for now $15. So I added $22 already in the last 3-4 months or whatever like that. That's what I mean. It's like it's always something new that might.
And then I have to ask like because of Miguel's Sports Prize with the Gridiron Gang and whatnot. Wonderful show. Check it out. That's not the actual name, but I'm just giving it a nickname, right?
Beyond the trenches.
Beyond the trenches, right?
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah. And in addition to the basketball podcast, wonderful content. And again, as a sports fan, I'm like, okay, because it is Disney, so ESPN Plus or ESPN3, whatever you want to call it. And in addition to that, so that's his other streaming services to pay for.
Yeah, you know what's weird, guys? You know what compete with my time? YouTube. I guarantee.
Mine too.
I watch more YouTube than I probably watch regular TV. It's crazy.
Mine too, bro. It definitely does. It's definitely hard. The other part of it, though, is that they're not going to stay these prices either. Disney Plus not going to stay $7. Trust me.
Right.
It's definitely going to go. It definitely will be 10 or more at some point. Netflix is going up how many times in the last 5 years or whatever?
Exactly.
You know what I mean? So I think that we are looking towards the future, but I think it's like a better future. That's all I'm saying, Anthony. It's like I feel like it's going to be maybe as much, but the way you can watch it is just like to Josh's point, it's better because you have, like the streaming services is easier to navigate. It's got a lot extra stuff on there and whatnot. So I feel like you won't mind paying as much as cable because it's so much better. But I feel like it's going to be as much as cable and whatnot.
And just a friendly suggestion to all those who are interested in streaming. I would strongly suggest to pay for the annual subscription as opposed to the monthly, because you will save more money over time. There's food for thought, and that's one last monthly bill you have to worry about.
Yeah. And one thing I'll add is that all these services is pretty much going to kill cable. Because right now, if it wasn't for me signing that contract, I was literally going to cancel cable. I barely watch it, right? We spend more time watching Netflix and stuff, and I feel like these different channels keep leaving cable to have their own service. So now you got barely that much left on cable. What is cable adding? Cable's only adding these other channels, but these channels keep leaving. Cable don't create their own content. Cable just give you what they could give you. But when people keep leaving, you're gonna be like, yo, what is the like? I literally want to call my cable company and be like, you should let me out of this contract, because you don't even have Fox no more, because Dish made a big thing like, oh, we're trying hard to get, like, when you call us on the automated server, we're trying hard to get Fox back. Like, I'm a wrestling fan. I've been said I only watch cable for Raw and SmackDown. Now I only watch it for Raw because I can't get SmackDown. So I feel like they should let me out of my contract.
Wow.
I think they are going to kill. I think cable will be gone within the next 4 or 5 years, possibly, or whatever like that. But they're also trying to kill. This is the thing. This is again why I'm saying it, Anthony. They're trying to kill the movie theater industry as well. Which, we tough, but think about Paramount Plus. That's what
the industry before the pandemic, but before the pandemic, I feel like the movie theater industry felt untouchable. Man, you have popcorn, drinks. People want to go out. Now they got a window to try to kill because now people have been like, when the movies come back, people might be like, I mean, I've been watching at home. I don't need to go. I save, like Josh always said, think of all the kids you can save money on. But pre-pandemic, nah, man, the movie theater was going nowhere.
I agree, but it just was kind of a perfect storm. These streaming services were already coming, but then the pandemic happened. So, like Paramount Plus, we talked about, which is the newest one. Mission Impossible is coming out on that, and a couple other movies. That's a Paramount movie. So soon all these soon all these new movies are going to be coming out on like all these streaming services, which is again going to make you want to get them, because not only is the show there, but now the new movie going to be on there and stuff like that.
So all right. So to Miguel, who is our aficionado in terms of stocks and whatnot, right? I look at the subscription model as similar to the vaccine, right? Who actually got their money up front from the government. They have a government contract. And that's what streaming services are. They're getting the money up front, and then they can add the movie on their distribution services, which I think is brilliant.
But here's the only thing I'll say this. In the gaming world, one guy was doing a thing, and he said he compared Netflix. He compared Xbox Game Pass to Netflix. So here's the only problem that Netflix does to themselves is, it's a subscription, so you pay up front, but you promise that you're going to give me good content. So you get yourself in a corner because Netflix have to spend so much money to keep making sure they have newer content. That's why they made that commercial a couple months ago. Every week we're adding a new movie, because if you don't keep bringing that hot stuff, people are going to leave, because these subscriptions you could just cancel after 1 month. So that's the only thing that's a little scary with these subscriptions. They're forced now they got to be on it with that content, because I could just go get that subscription or that subscription. But Josh, I got a question for you.
$20 billion.
We're still on subscriptions. Do you think Sony's gonna ever adopt that for the PlayStation as what's going on with Game Pass?
Oh, maybe with PlayStation Plus, because they already did that in terms of content. Because right now they only really did that with the PlayStation View, which I'm sure Mr. Urban World is probably fond of. But
no. Whoa. It's been over a year that PlayStation View went out of business.
That's what I'm saying. So I'm saying besides that, they essentially have the apps available. So they have the HBO app, they have the MLB app, they have a great partnership with Major League Baseball and Netflix and whatnot. But besides that, unless they're going to have some actual content, kind of like how Apple has, like actual PlayStation content, I don't know. Now, to me, it would be interesting if they do, some like video game content specifically. I think that would be interesting, but it's not like they can do Spider-Man.
Here's what so check this out. This is a big acquisition for Sony. 2 days ago, they just partnered with Evo, which is the biggest fighting game tournament in the world. So now Sony is the official Evo. So when you go to Evo tournament, you have to play on a PlayStation.
Oh,
yes.
Okay.
That's pretty huge, because the fighting game community is a big deal. And now Sony, now you can only get Street Fighter on Sony.
Wow.
Street Fighter is now a Sony only property. Yeah, okay. So there's certain stuff they're doing like that. But it's when you think about the subscriptions, and people are like, okay, I gotta have this to me in my subscription, you know, and I'm taking this, you know. So it's like Mike was saying, alluding to, is like, man, there's so much going on that who do you pick, who do you choose? But I think you killed it by saying you just got to pick and choose.
To your point, Tony Stark Jr., I think we've seen this over the past couple of years where certain games being available for Xbox only, right? And it'll be created by a studio that has an affiliation with Xbox, and then a studio that has an affiliation with Sony. So it's kind of like and it really all stems from Sonic and on Sega, right? You can only have Sonic on Sega, or Mario on Nintendo. So I think the blueprint's been there. I think they're just taking it to the next level. Yeah.
Well, what I will say, and I'm gonna leave the gaming stuff alone. I wonder if Xbox is trying to change it, because here's what I said, right? There's the puppets, there's a puppets masters, right? So when Microsoft spent over $70 billion for whatever their name is, I can't Bethesda, right? Bigger than Sony, bigger than Disney buying Marvel, right? 2 times that. But here's the thing: you got all these games, you still got agreements that was out to Sony and whoever. Here's the real who's the puppet master. If I bought that company and I still allow everyone to play it on every platform, I feel like you're the bigger winner. So
I agree.
Be smart to do that and not say, oh, it's gonna only, like, yeah, it will be cool to say it's only on Xbox, but you got to recoup $7 billion. So you might as well allow all these other platforms to still play these games so you can recoup that money, versus being able to say, well, we're the only ones that you can play Doom on.
Yeah, you know? I agree. To me, I think it'd be better. And I'm sorry, Miguel, this is the last
no, you're fine. You're fine. Yeah.
And I just think it would be a lot more lucrative to have things available on PlayStation, Xbox, and all the different versions from PS5, the Xbox S, all the way to PC, all the way to Stadia. I think it'd be great to have an entire, like a full house of content for gaming.
Yeah.
Yeah. So for the subscriptions, for what we were talking about earlier, with the movies, especially going to the services, it's just cutting out the middleman. Why am I going to pay the theater if I can put my movie out, Paramount Plus, let's say Paramount, on my streaming service, and just get more subscribers to pay me to watch Mission Impossible?
Yeah.
That's the thing. So, and the other part I want to say is that just like Netflix is now trying to crack down on password sharing, they're gonna be the first. Everybody's gonna follow them as far as that's concerned, right? Mm-hmm. And then I do think, to our earlier point, Tony, I think at some point they might have an actual harder cancellation policy as far as listen, you sign up, you got to give me 6 months or whatever and stuff like that.
See, reason why I don't think that's going to happen, because I remember the days of phones, right? Everybody got put in a contract, right? Cell phones, that's all it was. You had to be in a contract. Then they start doing prepaid. Everybody does prepaid now. Like, prepaid is the thing to bring you in. Like, somebody say oh, I got a contract. Oh, I'm not going with them. They got a contract. They, like you said earlier, you typically don't cancel anyway. I feel like not locking somebody in makes you want to be a part of that service, because it's more welcoming. If you say, hey, you're going to have to pay $150 to cancel, you're going to be like, well, I'm not even going to do it. So even the Great Adventures, we pay a monthly subscription. We could cancel whenever we want. Like, even the movie theater, they just say you just got to do 3 months. Regal said you didn't have to do anything. I feel like we're going to go backwards if we start making it hard to cancel, because we kind of got away from that. Like, the world is more like prepaid, a monthly. Everything's like a monthly. Like, I feel like if you start doing that, that's not going to look good for the company that does that. But here I want to touch your other point real quick. Yeah. I get that movies, like Paramount, may want a movies on their service, but let's say that big blockbuster that comes out in the movies, you're not going to make that much money on a subscription than if that movie come out in the movies. Let's just be clear. So certain movies, they might say that got to be in the movie.
I agree.
That subscription ain't gonna. Do you get will Endgame ever come on Disney? Oh my God! I mean, you know what I'm saying? Would that had not be in the movies to be on Disney? No, they lose.
I mean, that's definitely fair, but I feel like the landscape of theaters, as again, as two gentlemen who absolutely adore the theater, similar to John Campy, you know, the theater industry has completely changed forever. So those type of profit margins may not be there. So it might be more lucrative for each of these streaming services and essentially each of these studios to be the distributor and cut out the middleman, as you said.
Well, we have to see. This is what we have to see. We have to see post-pandemic, okay? Not everybody got it back. We have to see there is no pandemic. People are still going out, and we got to see if these services like Paramount and HBO are going to survive. If when these movies are allowed to be back in the theater, the big movies, right? Yeah. When they're allowed to be back in the theater, and people after so much time going to be like, I'm used to watching it at home, so now we're going to see so much of a drop off, or are people going to be like, man, I still want to go out? That's when we'll really know, but we can't really say that yet because yes, right now, so many people are going to watch it at home, right? But because this is still a pandemic. So, but when it's post-pandemic, no mask, no vaccine, everybody's normal, the thing been end, then I'd love to see what's going to happen.
Well, Josh made this point on earlier mental theater show, and I think it's happening. I think that over time, people have upgraded their home theater experience, stuff like that. So, because it's been a year, right? It's been a whole year. So, I think over time, they've added bigger TVs, more speakers, more surround sound. And they're like, look, man, I'm good at the crib right now. So, I just feel like the longer it goes on, the more people, to your point, will get used to just like, I'm good at my home viewing experience right now. And Josh said this a year ago. People will probably upgrade their experience. Stuff like that.
Absolutely. And we see with even amazing, metropolitan areas like New York, people are leaving New York. They're flooding New York in flocks because, they see there's no value in living in something that's like a little box for $3,000 a month, right? They would rather spend that type of money on a mortgage for a bigger house. So they invest in their home theater and they can actually be comfortable at home during this pandemic.
Yeah. Well, the only difference, the cool thing with New York, the thing with New York is they make more money in New York. But yeah, there are people moving, lower in Jersey and still going to work in New York because they could, the cost of living is lower, but they're making more money. But I mean, you know what? I will say this. When you think of, if I was a person that didn't like movies, man, HBO Max value is sick. And you see all the movies that's coming down on HBO Max. Like if I was a person that wanted to sit at home, bro, I'm
with you.
Perfect.
Yeah, I'm with you. I me and you, we love the communal viewing experience. We like that kind of shut down and just be able to sit there and watch your movie. Like you said, you're never going to match the experience. I don't care what kind of theater you got in your house, as you got with that big theater, not like that.
Oh, Miguel, I agree 1,000% because that's what I was literally thinking about you, both of you, while I was watching the Snyder cut, because I was like, oh man, if this was in theaters, this would be a much better experience. Because I'll be honest, during the viewing, Chloe and I paused it about 3 or 4 times.
Me too. I did
but that's what you do at home. Like Miguel brought this up many times on Mental Theater.
Yeah, because when the movie started, Sandy was still looking at her phone. I was like, yo, man, like that, I'm used to the movie.
Movie rules apply. What are you doing? This is why I don't take dates on the movie theaters. Thank you, Tony.
No, nah, man, nah. You might not, you messing me up because that light is on. I'm just saying.
Something simple, like in a movie theater, like I could be out of my drink, but if it's a Snyder cut, I'm be like, you know what? I'm gonna to the end of the movie, get a drink, get a refill. But at home, I'm be like, I'm gonna get me to the drink and something like that.
Yeah, and not for nothing. To be fair, because I was getting on her, but then I was like, well, I kept popping my phone up to write down my notes, and like I said, at 65, so the whole movie, I'm like, real quick. A couple times I had to pause it. So
it's definitely you won't match it because us as humans, we're easily distracted, whatever like that. So it's just not something that we can do. Like, and don't get me wrong, it's still good, but I don't think you even leave the same after you watch something at home than you do out of a theater and whatnot. So I get that, but to my point where I was bringing it back to, I think we're getting so used to it or whatever like that. It's going to be very, very. I think it'll be a while before you get people like back on a regular going to the movie basis and whatnot. So like that. So that's one thing.
You got anything else on your list, Mike?
I mean, you know what? But it's not. It's been 2 hours and a half. It's been a long time, so we can go ahead and shut it down or whatever like that. It's been a good show.
And before you guys close out, I just have to say I absolutely love the work you gentlemen are doing. This is wonderful. I love watching you guys on Sunday. essentially early afternoon, afternoon time, early, late morning. And I appreciate all the reviews you guys are doing. You guys are getting closer to your 1-year anniversary. And I'm actually curious to see what review you guys do for Without Remorse, Tom Clancy with Michael B. Jordan on the Amazon Prime network. So if you guys would love to have me back, I would love to come back and add some value and talk about that review with you gentlemen.
Let's go ahead and make it a thing Without Remorse with Josh or whatever. Like that.
I actually sent you that trailer, Mike.
Yeah, I know. I saw it. It's pretty good. Yeah.
Josh, I'm gonna say this, man. I would like to say this on air. I miss talking movie with you, man. So, I said to Mike, when I instantly said, "Bro, if you want to be on the show," and you was like, "Bet, here's my email." And I said to Mike, "I was like, oh, I hope he ain't mind that I invited Josh." He was like, "No." I was like, "I was gonna invite him." I said, "All right, well, so."
Yeah, I thought you were doing exercising with KG today. That's why I didn't invite you at first or whatever.
That's what he thought.
Oh yeah. We do it at 9:30. So this is a great sweet spot. So you guys actually saw me eating a bit of a breakfast I had from Chloe. So shout out to Chloe for cooking that. But we had a nice little break in between, and also have to shout out Stadia Pro Gaming, a wonderful value. You guys got to have him back on for sure.
Yeah.
Definitely, man. Definitely. Yeah. And I want to echo Tony, Josh. Definitely been talking movies with you. So when Mental Theater comes back, I'm all in or whatever like that. I'm original member of Mental Theater, so I got to be.
Yes, sir. Hey, by the way, all you guys are original members. A shout out to Miss Jefferson in the comments.
Yeah, shout out to my kid. Thank you. She's right next door, so I'm just great show, guys. So anyways, want to close it out, for all you guys watching and listening, commenting, we definitely appreciate that. Again, to Josh, Stadia Programmer, we appreciate that. Again, I'll have a Beyond the Trenches out this week, and we'll be back in a couple weeks for another show. And anything else you want to say, Tony?
I did review Chaos Watching. I'll add it in the playlist, so you guys check that out. It was a really good sci-fi movie. I know people say originality is dead, but it definitely brought a little bit different than something I've seen that I could think of. So I thought that was pretty cool. So you guys might want to check out that. Did a short spoiler review of that. So Chaos Walking, starring Tom Holland, aka Spider-Man, was pretty good.
Nice. Okay. And by the way, I think Chloe and I would totally be down for Budokan if you guys actually decide to do that. So
we are.
Yeah. But we'll talk about that later on, stuff like that. But anyway, thank you guys once again for that. I'm Big Mike,
and I'm Little Ant.
Out.
All right.